stems back to the 80s, where the Soviet Union was front and center, our main arch enemy for all things global democracy, rules of law, principles. And it was the agenda of the KGB at that time and the Russian or Soviet Empire to turn out important businessmen. And in the 1980s, that was an agenda that the KGB went after. And it's been documented by 3 ex-KGB officers, one located in Kazakhstan, one here in D.C., and another one in France. And they all have the same story that Trump was co-opted back in 1985, where he took upon himself to travel to Russia, former Soviet Union, Moscow, to try to get a Trump Tower built. And it was there during that visit that information was gathered on behalf of Trump, sensitive information, that unflattering, unsavory information that was been utilized to lever Trump as an asset against our country and in favor of Russia. You know, somebody just made a comment earlier, I think it was Dominic, or not Dominic, but Monsef, about follow the money. Well, these relationships worked out very well for Trump in the 90s when he was filing for bankruptcy, and he needed money to fund his operations, his condos, his casino, particularly after he was blackballed by Wall Street. And of course, Deutsche Bank was front and center in a lot of these dealings, hiding the information that didn't see the light of day. But Russia was, and certain KGB actors, or not KGB actors, but oligarchs were backstopping Russian mob types, his business ventures. So much can be said about that, and that Putin, in his current position, is in control of the actual KGB file on this information. Now, this, of course, has not been fully backstopped by all the evidence that should come out. But keep in mind how Russia controls its information and controls its media, and we see what Trump and Elon Musk are attempting to do with regard to controlling our media, and the way they've sidelined and sued and controlled the AP from showing up to press conferences. And you can see how any reporter who goes out and tries to dig up this information, what may happen to them. So I think ultimately, Gary, even though we can't prove it, we have a compromised president that's in the Oval Office. We see the overtures made toward Putin shortly thereafter taking victory. And of course, the demands that he's making on the poor people of Ukraine and Zelensky with regard to their natural resources, overvaluing our hand with regard to our aid that we've given them, using this as a real estate deal to exact as much leverage and, of course, a cost on the Ukrainian people. So a low point, in my opinion, my estimation, with the campaign that's happening over there and what the Ukrainian people are fighting for, and it's in line with our legacy as a country. And today we just turned a blind eye to that. And I'll end there. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, David. We'll now go to Keith.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Love the style of the room. Happy Friday. You know, I love how you can find how many differences of opinions there are on this particular subject, because, you know, there really is no objective truth here. I mean, it depends on like how you see things. Me personally, I don't mind that Zelensky got, you know, I think it was extremely distasteful, but that's the government. We the people elected. What did you expect? What did we expect? We're all acting like this is totally outside of reason with who we have in office. And I don't mind that we have this guy in office. This is who he is. He's kind of a brash asshole, but either way, you know, I think someone said it best. Look, we can't. Ukraine cannot win this war without us, and we got to stop footing the bill. So the war has to end. So I'm sorry. So maybe Trump has KGB ties, but no one cries about the people all over the world, the dignitaries, or even the higher ups who have CIA ties, as if the KGB is somehow less moral than the CIA. I mean, come on. It's like people speak out of two sides of their mouth. I mean, you have corruption going on in the U.S., just like you have in Ukraine, just like you have in Russia, okay? At the end of the day, when it comes down to, as we look at global inflation, there's a direct result of this conflict that was never going to be won. Ever. It was never going to happen. And so we got to find a way out. Right now, you have China, Russia strengthening their military ties. They're getting all buddy-buddy as we're draining. We're 31 trillion plus in debt, and we're sending all this money over to this conflict. For what, guys? We need to give it up. We need to get out, save face as fast as possible. So I thought that would happen today. Although distasteful, I'm proud to be an American. I'm not sad about being American because finally, it looks like we're going to stop throwing this money away, which, land here, half of this shit wasn't even accounted for. All right? So I don't know how hard you guys work. I happen to live in a state that taxes the shit out of me. So the money I make on paper, it looks great. It looks very great. But when I actually get it, it's not that great. Well, it's not what it appears to be. You know why? Because I'm giving a shit ton of it towards Ukraine. All right? So I'm tired of it. And I think we all should be. Okay? And so I'm happy that this happened today. Finally, Trump did something right. He had to pivot because he set everyone up. I'm going to release the Epstein files. We all know he's not going to release them because he's on those files. Okay? He's somehow implicated in this. So he had to do something to help the MAGA tards. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. To help the MAGA contingency feel good about something because there was a lot of heat once the files leaked yesterday. There was a shit ton of people that were very disappointed. So yes, it was absolutely a setup, and people were loving it. He has his contingency back, cheering him on. So thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Jamal.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me speak. And this is my first time in this room. I like the way that the decorum goes in this room. Listening to everybody, I'm gonna keep mine short, sweet, to the point. But what we witnessed today, especially as an American citizen, even as a veteran, it was quite outstanding, I must say, in regards to the negotiation that we got to see on national TV. In front of everybody. Zelensky was probably like 10 minutes away from everything being good had he not questioned J.D. Vance in regards to wanting to litigate in the public. But the one thing I do want to say, because the brother Anson and I 100% agree with everything that he was saying in regards to, somebody got their mic open, in regards to what's going on over there in Ukraine. And we as the United States, we do not need to be sending any type of boots on the ground or anything. Zelensky, I don't know what it is about him. I totally 100% understand that, he said, Russia broke the agreement back in 2014. They broke the agreement with Merkel and Macron that they would sign. Russia broke the agreement. But he is dealing with a new sheriff and a new president, and I do hope that he does understand that. And this mineral deal that is being proposed to him and his nation is security, because if we do have workers, American workers, or over there in the mineral doing mining the minerals from Ukraine, that is security in of its own, because it is in the interest of the United States to protect those interests. So I don't quite understand exactly what he is doing with this Tough Guy Act. And when we talk about, there was another brother on here, he said about the phone call that Trump had his first term with Zelensky. So he's probably little emotions. And I 100% agree with that. But to say that, Trump, is a part of, has something on Russia or anything like that, I totally 100% understand where Trump is coming from, because we do not need to be in any kind of nuclear war with Russia at all. And that's exactly what that would get us into if we were to, continue to butt. When Joe Biden in December 2021 declared that Ukraine would be a part of NATO, and that was the red line for Russia, why wouldn't Russia invade Ukraine for that reason? That was the red line for their nation. And for years, I was born in 1986, but I can look back in history and remember that, when NATO was formed, Ukraine was always out of the question of being a part of NATO. And for Joe Biden to come out and publicly say that that NATO membership is in the hands of Ukraine, I think that was completely stupid and downright silly for him to do, which made Russia do what it did. Because I wholeheartedly believe that Russia does not respect. He did not respect Obama because he took Crimea under Obama, and he definitely did not respect Joe Biden because he invaded Ukraine, and here we are in today. But today was, is something quite memorable to see. But I'm glad that we, the American people, got to see this negotiation played out in public the way it was. Amazing. I yield. Thank you.
It was interesting to watch, and probably gives us a little bit of insight as to what really happens behind closed doors. Thank you, Jamal Hermes. And established 1634. I don't know how you got on the stage. You're not going to get a chance to speak. Sorry, we're running out of time. You came on past the deadline.
Yes, I'll make it super quick. So it was clearly an ambush. It was set up, and it's all propaganda. They want to, steer support away from Ukraine, and I feel for him. I feel empathy for him. Thank you.
I love when we're out of time, these kinds of short, sweet, and to the point comments. Thank you, sir. David, Denise, and Prince. David.
Thank you. Elon's not a popular guy right now, but you might remember over a year ago, or prior to this administration, he called this. I didn't like hearing him say it. His comments were printed in Pravda the next day. They were the Putin line. But he said, hundreds of thousands of more people are going to die, and it's going to be the same result as to where we are today. So interesting to see that. I don't like us abandoning Ukraine. It's interesting. Someone said, we treat it a little bit like Vietnam, give them only enough, but maybe not enough to win. Putin threatens nuclear war every 5 minutes, and he has for 50 years. So the Russians have for 50 years. So I'm sorry, I don't buy it. To allow this travesty to happen, the Ukrainians are putting their lives down. They know what Putin is like, and they're willing to die for it. Poland knows that it's next. The revisionists of history with Trump only underscores what Putin has over him. And Vance looked like someone I don't want to be president, sitting there as a consigliere to his commander. I've got more, but I'm going to stop.
Thank you, David. By the way, those of you who aren't on the messenger chat, you're missing out. Boy, is there a vibrant conversation going on there. Denise and Prince. Look at the top and click on the link and you can join. Denise.
Yes, I'll be quick too. I had to leave for a while, and I'm probably glad, because these people who think it was a good thing, I just think it's this is so triggering for me and upsetting. They were such bullies, and I totally think it was planned. I think that, and I heard Russian talking points, and I don't think that's a good thing. I do think Putin is, as Lindsey Graham, I believe, said, is a thug. I don't trust him, of course. And I don't also think that Zelensky saying that there need to be guarantees in place for him to, do anything doesn't necessarily mean our troops on the ground. There's other things we can do to hold Russia accountable to their word. So I that's what I give that for. But basically, I don't like bullies. I heard verbally abusive people. It really triggered me. I know Trump doesn't drink, but he sounded like a verbally abusive alcoholic going, we hold the cards, you don't hold any cards.
You got no cards, bitch. You got no fucking cards. So fucking run your country over, bitch.
He does need help, but
humble thyself and kneel before the throne.
It's just infuriating to me. So I do think it was planned. I do think that Trump and Vance probably want a way to, spin their narrative that, potentially they can leave the whole situation at some point. I think they're pushing toward that. And, even another step toward leaving NATO. I did hear one thing that was interesting. Someone said that, and this I haven't researched it, but on a talk, I think with Katie Couric or someone that.
It was all true.
Somebody's talking about fat people?
Hold on, let me ask you a question, Veronica. If this is true, right? If this is true, right? Okay, if I terrorize you this much, why would you send me a French? Why would you send me a French?
I never said you terrorize me.
But why would you send me
The
a
second
French?
person to make the alcoholic comparison, and just want to point out, thank you, Denise, that the president is a Coca-holic, as in Coca-Cola. Prince, you get the last.
Oh, wow. Well, a lot was said. My ideas are kind of everywhere right now, but I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible from what I remember I wanted to say. I wish Marshall was here because I disagree fundamentally with something he said. The problem here is not that, it's not like Ukraine just came to the United States and said, hey, guys, Putin is threatening me. I need your help. No. The problem here is that this is your mess. Whether you like Trump or hate Trump, it doesn't matter. Whether you like Biden or hated Biden, it doesn't matter. In the name of your country, your government, this war was started. When they went in 2014 and launched a coup against the sitting president in Ukraine, intervened in Ukraine, promised Ukraine economic prosperity, they gave it as a package. Hey, Ukraine, you're going to join EU. You're going to become a member of the European Union's market. And you're going to join NATO, which is going to give you security guarantees.
We might fly back and blow it all
If
up.
the United States didn't go intervene in Ukraine, topple the regime, Crimea would have still been Ukrainian. If the United States didn't go there and said, hey, I'm going to let you join NATO, the war wouldn't have started a few years ago. Every single blood that was dropped on that soil is the fault of the United States of America. I don't give two shits if you're a Trump supporter. I'm not necessarily a Trump hater, and Marshall knows me. But for Trump to come out and blame it all on Zelensky, I don't like Zelensky either, by the way, is disingenuous. It's a lot. This is the fault of the United States. The United States bears full responsibility with Putin, not the Ukrainians. Maybe one could argue the Ukrainians were dumb enough to believe the United States, but this sets a very dangerous precedent for United States allies. Hey, when president changes, when the mood in our country changes, we're going to fuck you over, and you're going to have to deal with that. Now, this is extremely dangerous, especially in regards to what Marshall said about Asia, which is true. The United States is pivoting to Asia because that's where, the new Cold War 2.0 kicked off since 2010 or since Obama was elected. The problem here is you're sending the wrong signal to Japan, to Australia, to South Korea, and to Vietnam and the Philippines. What are you telling these people? And for Trump to use Biden and call him stupid in front of a foreign leader, I mean, hey, man, whatever is said on the campaign trail, keep it on the campaign trail. Keep the internal issues internally. You put them out to the exterior like that, to the world to watch. You're saying this is not a country. This is a company that changes CEOs. Because it wasn't just Biden who initiated this war. It was the establishment of the United States. It was the bureaucracy of the United States. It was the people at the CIA, the national security, blah, blah, blah. It's not a matter of a decision taken by a single person that is the sitting president of the United States. And this had bipartisan support. So, all that being said, this is the mess of the United States, and this is not how you clean your mess.
Thank you, Prince. Folks, we're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. New York time. But before, during, and after our gathering here, you can join and participate in the chat on our Facebook Messenger community, which is linked to the top. We will see you again Monday at 5 o'clock New York time. So until then, everybody be safe, be well, have a great weekend, and peace out.
Corpus Christi. I don't think anybody knows that. But it's a nice little town in Texas. Corpus Christi. I lived there for about 6.
They're eating the cats. No, they're eating it.
If there has been a bad season, yes, a bad crop.
They're eating the cats and they're eating the dogs.
And all the
Idiots, as we call them. The kids in the schools, these pseudo-intellectuals,
Is that what you're talking about?
these, people are just like, playing this stupid, moral obtuse position of like, yeah, but it's a both sides thing. Both sides are bad. I can never pretend.
What about the dead Palestinian kids? What about 50,000 dead Palestinians?
Yeah, the whatabouters, right? But Gaza, this disproportionality, equal sides, it's just like the idiots, right? And by the way, nothing against them either. Like, we were also, to some degree, you know me out, we were also those idiots.
I was,
right? Because
I was very naive for a long time.
Right, yeah, like we were idiots in the sense
that we don't mention any of this. Let's face it, most people here in the U.S., to be fair about it, and maybe in Western worlds, I have my own myopic view of where I'm at. It's like, yeah, I'm worried about paying my fucking electric bill and getting to work on time and doing what I have to do in my daily life, let alone all this stuff that it takes like a great deal of learning. If you really want to understand it, you have to dive in and learn it. Otherwise, you're going to learn on TikTok and you're probably not going to truly understand it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? They have really warped reality to the point where it's like, it's so crazy. One of the girls, I'll call her Warrior because that's kind of her username and stuff. I've become very close friends with her, the Kurdish girl. And she started digging into Kurdish history. And she's like, whoa. And she had to answer some really unexpected questions. Because we know our Kurdish friend, Kurdish Gal Gadot. You're familiar with her? Right? Her stance, right? So this warrior girl, Kurdish warrior, didn't really know about the history of the Kurds, and she didn't know that, like, wait, hold on. Palestinians actively supported Saddam. The Palestinians actively were against the Kurdish state. 70% of ISIS members that were in Syria were Palestinians, meaning Palestinian refugees, quote unquote, that were joining ISIS. And she's like, why is it that the only country that ever supported us as a minority in the Middle East was Israel? This evil entity, the Zionist entity, the devil of the region. This devil is the only one that's been giving us a lifeline. This devil is the only one that's actually been giving us weapons to defend ourselves so we don't get actually genocided. Which, by the way, they came very close many times. If you really study Kurdish history and what the Islamists and what the Arabs were doing to them. Yeah. And also the Turks too, but and she started really waking up, right? And she was just like, well, and then she looked back, she's like, I'm like, now you understand? I'm like, now you understand what she's like, the checkpoints, the barricade, the wall. She's like, I get it now. It's like, you guys are just trying to put a fucking lid on this shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Yeah. You think?
I mean, it's so the argument about the checkpoints and the wall that we have. It's like, well, was that wall always there? Were those checkpoints there? Like from the beginning? No, there's a reason for it. Basically the reason for putting those checkpoints and the wall is so we didn't have to carpet bomb those cities and kill every last one of them.
You know what's so crazy? So Warrior and then the other girl, JC, the one that just literally flipped in the last little bit, and they're actually kind of like humiliated that they even were pro-Pali in the first place, or like even supporting Hamas. To even say that we were pro-Hamas, they're just like wow. But it goes, by the way, in real time, it just goes to show two things. Number one, the power of propaganda. Just how powerful propaganda is. You know, sometimes we think that we can't get, and I'm always aloof to this too. I'm like, what kind of propaganda? If so many people are duped in this, like, what other narratives or what other conflicts and stuff going on in the world are we maybe susceptible to that we're not even aware of? You know what I mean?
Bro, look at people. They changed the word to propaganda from. You remember in Waco, Texas, and all these other there's a couple other cities around Texas and around the world where they've gathered 400 or 500 people that people just randomly were dying to join this cult.
Yeah.
And they drank the lemonade, and then there was
Heaven's Gate. What Heaven's Gate, right?
I don't. You could be correct.
Ding-along? They caught off their dings, right?
Yeah, but it's so even with Charles Manson, he had a following, and basically, so now we call it as propaganda, but it's a culty mentality where people they get brainwashed, and then they get. The problem is we need to wash their brain into good things. Because who would ever think that 400 or 500, I think there was even 2,000, I forget. It was a mass number. And they all killed themselves.
You know what the crazy thing is? You would think only a crazy person would ever do that. Bro, if you looked at the people that were in that cult, they were normal people. Doctors, engineers.
There was doctors,
people. They weren't, it's not like they were clinically insane people, bro. This is just the human psyche, how susceptible we can be and be conditioned. Because, human beings, we want to believe in things, right? We naturally want to believe things. That's why even conspiracy theories that even are so wild and crazy, we want to believe it as long as there's not enough, in-your-face evidence that disproves it, right? A conspiracy can last only so long until, we're naive, but we're not that naive as human beings in general. You know what I mean? We're willing to believe it as long as there's not something that's so in your face that's whoa, right?
We still have people debating about that. We went to the moon.
What's that?
We still have idiots that think we didn't land on the moon.
Yeah, there's just not enough in your face evidence, I guess, for whatever reason in 2025 for them to be oh wait, this is stupid. You know what I mean? You hear stories of people following different ideologies, not just religions, but ideologies and belief systems.
People don't even believe in that.
I used to believe that.
Like flat earthers or something. I mean,
I was just going to say that. People don't realize how many people believe the Earth's flat.
Yeah, man.
There's millions of people.
It's actually incredible.
Could you imagine? So on those blogs that those flat earthers all flock to, if they were to change this, add a little bit more spice to it, that Israel's the Heaven's Gate, do you know what would happen? It's this. This is a prime example. Even our room right now, right? Not saying we're okay. Hopefully, we're a little bit smarter and our brains have been a little bit more washed, so we can understand more things and dissect things. Because I still have a mind where I can. See where there could be situations on whatever, 4 sides of the earth where there's a problem. But almost created a room, and he's probably clinically insane, right? But he created a room calling it the same title as ours. And we noticed it was toxic. And then Yirmiyahu comes up with an idea, let's call it the same thing, but let's actually talk about good things. You know what I mean? So you have somebody that wants... You have somebody that wants to use it in a bad way, and then but then there's to think about, almost maybe probably a little bit crazy, but what if his psyche or his mind is to actually, and I believe it really is to coexist, right? He just doesn't run the room properly. So we're in the room where the title's called coexistence, but I guarantee you, any of the mods, we're not going to let people come up on the stage and start screaming their propaganda bullshit. We're going to shut it down right away. So when we try to take that evil title and then make it into something positive where people can learn, like you were saying about the 2 girls that are humiliated now because they followed this whole bullshit rhetoric, and then maybe they came to see the light. And then hopefully
Утверждают ваше отношение к Трампу, вы отбрасываете. Очень удобно.
Я нет, пытаюсь, правда, бороться с этой историей, но по всему, что я вижу, и по сегодняшнему диалогу, для меня очевидно, что нет диалога о мире. То есть Зеленский триггерится, это понятно, он реально на него очень большая нагрузка сейчас идет, много лет. Вот. И можно по-разному вести диалог. Понимаете? И для меня это просто...
Так почему у вас... У меня очень простой тогда вопрос, Маша.
Да.
Почему к одной стороне есть какие-то претензии, причем совершенно косметического характера? То есть, когда Мурат ставит прямой вопрос, дайте из этой речи что-то, что действительно... И вы не даете, что вот просто зачитали, вернее...
Can't go out past certain miles for however many miles out to sea and all this stuff. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, whoa, dude, that's fucked up. And these weren't like racist or hateful people that were telling me this stuff, you know, but this is what I was hearing. And, you know, I didn't really know what else was I to think. It's the only information I would really get. And most of us are just not, you know, we don't go out of our way really to try to learn, you know, about the history of every country on the planet.
In the order, there's also Pepe. We're emotional creatures, right? That's the thing. Like, logic plays a function, of course. Logic is very important for our deductive capabilities, right? For a lot of things. But when we're invested in certain conflicts or situations, it's not a logical investment, quote unquote. It's an emotional investment, ultimately speaking. What was the big wake-up call for the girls, even though all this... First off, you know, just seeing stuff from like 10/7 as an example, or just seeing the stuff that's coming out of Gaza and stuff, that can be very emotionally like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of taken aback.
That traumatized
when you're watching.
When they had the caskets of those babies, and it's like, oh my God.
Shit, you know, that shit hits you, right? But what really hit them on a first-hand experience was like the way that the whole pro-Pally's squad just demon mode on them.
You know what it is? I want to touch, and I hate interrupting you, gangster, but I love listening to you. You're very, you got a way of speaking.
You're really good. I ain't gonna lie, dude.
Yeah, you are. So, and hear me out too. Like, it just got away. But I this is what I think a test that. See, I like to do things in layman terms, like really dumb it down. But if somebody you love the most, who is that? Your mother?
I mean, it depends on the stage. Mother, and then eventually becomes your daughter if you have a daughter. Like,
but like right now in your life, anybody in this room?
In my life? I mean, look, bro, I've lost all my male. I've lost a brother 2 years ago. I lost a father. Right now, my mother and my sister. And two sisters.
So okay. Let's use your mother because, okay, everybody else just, but don't I just want to hear it from everybody. Who just say mother, sister, brother? Who is it?
Whatever. What's the point?
Mother. Let's say mother.
Mother.
Okay. Now, if your mother does something right now that's wrong in public, you're gonna go with her. You're gonna stick with her.
Bullshit.
You're gonna have her back.
Mother's fucking back, like he just said, the gangster. And even if I think it's wrong, I'll have her fucking back. And maybe I'll tell her when I'm by myself with her. But the more and more she does it, and it's wrong, I'm still gonna keep having her back.
Correct.
So, and that's what I understood what he was saying. Emotional. So now they're hanging around people. Your friend's crying and say, look what they're fucking doing. It's open air prison. You may know it's wrong what they're saying, but you're going to fucking agree with them. And the more and more they talk about it, you're going to be indoctrinated.
Correct. Yeah, and this is why, maybe I know you came in a little bit later. and I definitely want to hear it. I know I've been monologuing. It's just like the stream of consciousness has been in me all day today, especially because I got suspended off TikTok for a week because I was the Islamists in the room were just not having it because I was basically pointing this out, right? And once again, and I said, I'm like, look, I have faith in humanity. I have faith in Muslims. If you're saying that this is a poor representation of Islam, can you please, for the good Muslims out there that are the best representation of Islam, can you come out? Show me, where are you? Come out here and tell me this is a poor representation.
So fucking powerful what you're saying because
they don't exist.
No, but it is because listen, if you look at the statistical numbers, 10% of Muslims are extremists. That's a scary thing. But now look at the positive side. 90% aren't extremists.
What's an extremist? I used to be a moderate, but still I would send money to the Palestinian cause, and I probably sent it to terrorist organization without knowing because I thought I was making a good deed. So it's a whole spectrum. What is a moderate? What is an extremist?
But what if all the healthy...
Wait, baby.
What?
Yeah, 90%
90% of them are not calling out the 10%.
Yeah, they're passive.
That's what the point. If the 90% calls out today, the 10% will drizzle away. They will do some crazy, horrendous acts, but it will be drizzled out. If the 90% were to stand up today and say, hell no, not in Islam, not in on the Quran, we do not stand for this. If all those leaders spoke up, it would have to die. It would have no other choice.
They pretty much never do that.
Can I tell you the difference though? And this is maybe my hypothesis. I could be wrong. I think that the 90% are still sympathetic with it and still side with it. Just the 90% don't have the balls to do it. They just don't have the. They just don't have the balls to do it.
We're sorry. They just said
yeah. They just don't have the balls to do it. There's a big difference.
If you look at like what happened on October 7th, like literally the next day you had them, they were out on the streets protesting for Palestine. So like there was no like time for apology or time for like grievance. It was just like straight ahead. Oh, let's forget what happened. Well, still, I've never seen, you get groups like CARE, even after there's a Muslim attack. Absolutely nothing comes out of their mouth. I remember when that couple shot up that place of it where the husband worked. The husband and wife shot it up in San Bernardino. And the most important thing on CARE's mind was, well, their children must go to a foster parents that are Muslim. Like that was their priority. It's just weird.
Yeah,
that's fine. We're going to send them right where they belong very soon.
Well, here's the thing, Jacob, and this is the real eye-opener for me, right? The eye-opener with the example of these two girls is like all these idiots. I call them idiots, but I don't mean it like they're dumb. A lot of them are very intelligent. They're just, I would say they're just ignorant. Yeah, I think that's a way better term. Just ignorant to the fullest, ignorance where they've become morally obtuse with everything.
It's like the Russian-Ukraine thing. The
clarity, the sense of clarity and reality is like, whoa, right? The paradigm is just too much. So what I realized with these middle ground, like the ones that are so far gone, they're so far gone. There's no, like, that's like, you need divine intervention. Who knows, man? Like, God, you just need to come into something drastic needs to happen. Like, we have stories of that. Yeah, like, we have stories of people that were like, hey, I was a radical once, and then this happened or that happened, whatever. Those things, there's still chances of hope, but like
once they're radical, they're done.
Yeah,
it's like
that's like for you. For you to be like Mr. Superman and put on the cape and say, "I'm gonna like forget about it." That's not your battle. Let God deal with that. That's not for you.
The problem is it's 10%, but what about the sleepers? Is the number actually 60%?
Here's the thing. I think it's a lot more. I don't even want to play the percentage game because at the end of the day, right? I'm not even trying to slice it up because the way I see it, and I've said this from the very beginning of this conversation, is that it's when this happens, they say, "Oh, you're attacking Islam." It's like, no, Islam is attacking us. They're doing it in the name of Islam. Yeah. Here's the funny thing. What I love about this particular situation with the Palestinians right now, especially with Hamas, it was easy to condemn ISIS. It was easy to condemn Al Qaeda. When push came to shove. You know what I mean? You could condemn that, right? Like, you can say, yeah, these guys are not following the Quran, they're not following that. But Hamas, when I asked them, once again, Hamas, right? Because they're saying Hamas are resistance fighters. You never really heard anyone saying ISIS was resistance fighters. You didn't really hear that verbiage. You never really heard that Al Qaeda on a mainstream level. You never heard that.
Why don't we get a Muslim in here to talk shit?
On a mainstream level. Right now, it's very mainstream. It's very hip and cool to say, yeah, resistance fighters, freedom fighters, right? But once again, I asked them this question, and please, guys, remember this question. If they are a poor representative, they're the one. Remember, they brought the Islam into the conversation, not us. We didn't bring it. They did. Once again, and if that's the case, if they're bringing it, and if they're doing it in the name of Islam and carrying it for Islam, I ask you this question. Are they a poor representation of Islam, or are they a good representation of Islam? And see the answers you will get. And then if they're poor, then good, condemn them as an Islamic movement.
Well, they've always committed terrorism.
They won't, though.
But Palestinians, haven't they been like both? Hasn't it been from both like a nationalist and if we look at the PLO?
Name me the top terrorist groups right now in the Palestinian camp. You got
no. I'm saying if we went back in like the 60s and 70s, I thought a lot of them were like communist influenced. Some of them were nationalist.
Yeah, great. Bro, I've been doing a lot of research on Yasser Arafat. When during Oslo, right? Yasser Arafat, the more secular, moderate. Bro, as if we forget about the PFLP. right? The PFLP, like when they were doing Munich and hijacking planes and going and if you guys look up the coastline massacre in the 70s, they literally came on coastline.
They killed Israeli.
Well, yeah, no, I know they were always terrorists. That's not a question.
Guys, you know, before the first Intifada, because we know first and second Intifada, obviously, we know the suicide bombings and stuff like that, right? Do you know the first you had the Fedayeen in the 50s, right? I was really going deep on this shit. We were getting terrorist attacks from Egypt, from Jordan, from Syria that they were, because we didn't have a fortified border in the 50s the way we have today, obviously, for technology and infrastructure and all that other stuff. So it was a lot easier for them just to sneak in through the border and just start terrorizing villages and whatnot, right? Hold on, guys, my phone's about to die. Give me 1 sec. But you had the Fedayeen that was attacking us. Then during the 60s and 70s, the PLO, people don't mention this, the PFLP and the PLO were freaking, in a lot of ways, they were actually more savage than Hamas, believe it or not. They just had more, they were more brazen.
Didn't they do
you know what I mean?
the car bombings and with the
Car bombings, Munich.
Severed head of a child in a remote village in the region. Wow. Ahmed Mohammed Gatale, bruh. The police.
بالسنة يعني مو انه احب الجلد انه اكله دائما لا اذا كان محمر
And saying this shit in Antarctica, right? Yeah. They call it skies. That's what they nickname it.
You can't. It said it's so cold you can't even hold that shit.
Yeah. So now check this. Remember I said they sent the rockets up there and it just, you know, like it makes a large explosion. And then stops. And I don't know if you heard through the grapevine.
Oh man, you're the most educated person on the subject.
You guys need to know, okay, there's Taqiya, but then there's Al-Hudaybiyah, which is even worse. And I'll tell you about Al-Hudaybiyah. So Taqiya, you know, just lie, whatever. Al-Hudaybiyah. So there was something called the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah between Muhammad and the people of Quraysh. Muhammad was weak at this time. He wanted to go to Mecca to make his pilgrimage with the Kaaba and everything else. But the Quraysh was obviously at war with him because they're like, we don't want this terrorist here. So this fucking scumbag. And I call him a scumbag because that's exactly what he is. He was a fucking scumbag terrorist is what he was. And when you really read his life and everything like that, like everything that I was reading about Muhammad, I'm like, wow, this is Hamas. And like, this is ISIS. Like, this is them, you know? Anyways, Al-Hudaybiyah, there was a treaty. So this is what Muhammad did. He made a 10-year pact and said, look, let's have peace. Let's be friends. Like, remember, he's in the weak position. He can't defeat their armies. He's like, look, you can come to my end and I'll come to your end and we'll have peace. We'll have an agreement that we won't go to war and that we'll be at peace, right? So he made this pact, but he had no intention of actually acknowledging this pact. Based on his demonic understanding of Islamic law and Sharia, it basically says that if you make a pact of peace with the kuffar, you're not obligated, you're not going against the law if you end up breaking that pact. So he actually made that pact as strategic purposes, just so he can get himself stronger, get what he wants. And then what do you think Muhammad did several years later? There was one of the girls that came from the Quraysh, from Mecca, came to his end. And I don't remember if it was Muhammad or one of his Sahaba, his companions, that didn't want to release the girl. And they said, yeah, the girl's going to stay with us. We're basically like keeping her captive, to say the least, right? So he went. And then one of the other, I believe it was her brother or somebody, who tried to come and get his sister back, and then he ended up killing the guy. And then he ended up breaking the pact, and then, you know, he became strong again. So this concept of Al-Hudaybiyah, Yasser Arafat in the 90s, in either 95 or 96, I can pull up the link, in 95 or 96, he even went on national television and says, yes, this deal, this Oslo Accord, this peace process that we're doing with the Zionists is just Al-Hudaybiyah for us. We're just making strategic and tactical purposes to come into an agreement. So that way we can free Palestine. But when you look at all of his speeches from 93 to 97, jihad, 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 we need to continue fighting. We will only, you know, keep martyring ourselves. And terrorist attacks began to increase. When Oslo was supposed to be the peace process, if you're in the middle of a peace process, why are there a continuous terrorist attacks? Meaning that they were never even genuinely sincere about the agreement. It was just strategic purposes. For number one, the PLO to get some sort of legitimacy on the international stage. So they're not seen as a designated terrorist organization, so they can get strategic and tactical positions geopolitically, but also for an opportunity for them to really gather themselves. Because the moment that they're stronger than the Israelis, do you think that they would still honor a two-state solution with us? Do you think that they would? This is why the two-state solution is the worst idea of any ideas in this particular conflict. We are basically setting ourselves up because we want to believe, and this is our issue. We want to believe that people are like us, that we will honor that. Once again, it's like we want peace, they want peace, we want prosperity, they want prosperity. It's like no, they don't give a fuck, bro. They do not give a fuck. Yasser Arafat even
projecting on them.
but it's the fact of the matter, guys. This is once again, you want to understand their mindset, just understand Muhammad. Muhammad is the blueprint with the enemy that we're dealing with. Once again, Islamophobic. It's like, look, prove me wrong, please. Prove me wrong. And if that's the case, then say that Yasser Arafat was not representing Islam properly when he was saying that. Tell me that Hamas was not representing Islam properly when they did 10-7. And they're doing what they're doing. And then what we saw on display in the last week, right? Was
my great uncle actually served against Yasser Arafat's group in Lebanon. He served in Kitover against the PLO. Those guys ravaged through Lebanon. They slaughtered women and children. They ripped unborn babies out of women's wombs. It was terrible.
And so what we need to do, and this is the important part, guys, is that, we've seen the videos. Do you know how many of these people have never seen what we've seen? They've never even laid their eyes on the gruesomeness and just like the horror. They just heard about 10-7. They saw some reports. Oh, this was on the left. Just words, literature, for the most part. Not maybe a picture here or there. Maybe like a classic, you see Noah Armagoudi being taken away on a motorcycle. Maybe they saw some of those. The Davis mother holding their children with terror in her eyes. Which, by the way, speaking of terror, Muhammad, I gotta find the source. I think it was in the Quran or Hadith. I'm literally compiling all this shit right now. Also, as we speak, in a more organized, collective fashion. Muhammad literally said that one of his means is terror. One of his ways of war is to do terror. That he became victorious. He became victorious by Allah through terror. Like, terrorizing your enemy is part of their game. You understand that? This is not something new. This is not a new invention. This is from the genesis of Islam itself. All the way from the caliphates to, when they went and conquered India, when they went to conquer Spain and North Africa and all of the Middle East and Persia. I have a whole book right now. It's called The History of Jihad. Literally from Muhammad to ISIS. It was written by Robert Spencer.
Aya told me something. It was actually Aya that told me something, or it was in a room. She was telling me something how Muslims are supposed to live. Are they supposed to live like? Are they supposed to basically copy Muhammad, how he lived throughout his life?
100%. He is, and this is from the book, that he is the perfect example of humanity.
So they're all going to be
He's the perfect moral example. Why do you think that there's in Iraq and other places the age of consent for marriage is like down to 9 years old?
It's like 6 or 9.
Where do you think they're getting that example from? Did they do some like scientific research? You know what I mean? On prepubescent girls, or you know what I mean? Did they do some like extensive social science research, right, on like the legitimacy? Like, come on.
I just want to say something though. Like, this is important just to know that what's going on in Iraq. Here's the thing, with Sunni Islam, it's actually even worse than what's going on in Iraq. The only reason it's 9 years old in Iraq is because that's the minimum age for vaginal intercourse in Shia Islam. In Sunni Islam, you can do it with a baby, in fact. She just has to be chubby enough. Yeah, according to a lot of Sunni scholars, like Imam al-Shafi'i, and this is accepted throughout the madhab schools of thought, now if the girl has to be plump, jasima, husky, basically, like an Arabic jasima.
We need to kill people.
So if the girl's plump enough and she can endure it, then the man can have intercourse with her. There's no need for puberty. There's no age limit in Sunni Islam. But with Shia Islam, while vaginal intercourse is only for the minimum age of 9, you can still do stuff such as tafkhid, which is outlined by Ayatollah Khomeini and Tahrir al-Wasila, which, by the way, what tafkhid is basically you can thigh the girl. A man can thigh the girl with his male genital organ. He can grope her, do all sorts of disgusting things, and also sodomize the girl.
They bully even modern Muslims.
Yeah, I mean, what makes Islam dangerous is that at best it is ambiguous. The problem is like you have a mass of moderate Muslims that exist just because the values of the West they impose are strong, and when they have to argue against extremists, they have to rely on those Western values, and they are like appealing to the West. And the non-Muslims principle, so that makes them weak and they lose the debate. And then you have the extremists being, the ones with the less amount of cognitive dissonance, the people that really let Muhammad and his book guide their morality. So yeah, this is why it's horrible. I say that Islam is dangerous because it makes good people mediocre and bad people dangerous.
Monsters, evil.
Exactly.
And we saw that.
I agree with that.
We saw that evil on display in Gaza. And this is why, guys, the big wake-up call, and this is what they've been doing on TikTok. Maybe we should start doing this now, too. It's kind of hard with this platform because we just have audio for the most part. But we haven't been doing a good job, especially Israel, too. Well, we want to put the 45-minute video. It's like, no, man. It's like, no. It's like, we need to have this, like, we should even stop talking at this point as much as we do, debating, because it's actually kind of stupid. They start, we start getting into these useless, nonsense, bullshit conversations sometimes. Like, I've seen Pepe in a lot of rooms. I've seen Pepe, right? Because Pepe, very level-headed guy, he's, taking a very level-headed moral position and stuff. And next thing you know, Pepe is defending arguments that he's like, well, why the fuck am I even having this conversation? Why the fuck am I even here? Why are we even in the weeds? Next thing he's all ad hominems and then all this and then his personal life and then Pepe, am I wrong?
I mean, that does kind of, it did.
Like, why the fuck are we even, like, where does the conversation even go? Like,
it goes down to just getting insulted. You're a Zionist cuck. You don't have kids. You're a faggot.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, amazing.
It's just like the waters get muddied up really fast. So I think that we should
stand together. Who cares? I've heard it too.
But the point is, talk is cheap. What do they say? Money walks bullshit. Wait, money talks, bullshit walks, or whatever. I don't remember. But using that type of, and guys, I gotta go because I'm getting pinged up right now. Using that type of mentality, at the end of the day, I think it's more like, we gotta just stop talking and stop debating them and just fucking putting it out there. Because these people who have not seen this and really this might be the wake-up call. I'm not saying everybody or whatever, but this might be like, hello, wake up. Even for us, we went a little bit of sleep, even though we've been so engaged with this conflict for the last 16 months, October 7th, but it starts to dim in our memories a little bit. Your meow, and I'm saying this to everybody, burn 10-7 to the back of your eyelids. Because guess what? This happened before. This happened, obviously, a second intifada, first intifada. The last time we had like a 10-7 type of event in that level was like, I think, the Hebron massacre, right? That was like a 10-7 of its time when they went and slaughtered, like literally they went into Hebron and just started slaughtering all the Jews that they can, and then everyone else got, I think, cleansed. Obviously, we didn't have the IDF or anything like that, but it's the same fucking shit, guys. And it's like that was happening before, all the way back in the last 1400 years. Burn it into the back of your minds. What we saw in the last week with the Bibas families was a reminder of like, oh shit, like this is what we're dealing with. Like this is the
I gotta say, when I see the caskets of toddlers, I'm like, oh, okay.
And what they're doing, what they're teaching their kids, but it's more than that. Like, listen, the children are precious, right? I believe children are precious, but and this is going to be the controversial part. They've lost their innocence. But the question is not whether, look, it's never justified killing a child. Even if it has a gun, it's still not justified. The question is not whether it's justified or not. The question is whose hands is that child's blood on? I.e., who is robbing them of that innocence? Who has robbed them of that innocence? That's the crime. The crime is not the fact that you have an army and a people that are trying to legitimately defend themselves, get their people back and everything, and you're putting your children into this. You're putting your children into the battle. You think Israel legitimately enjoys wanting to, having to unalive a baby, or a baby, it has to die in any? You think that we relish in that? They relished in it. We saw it firsthand. They broadcasted live TV internationally. They saw it. They gloat about it. This is the crazy reality we're living in.
I know.
We don't celebrate. We don't. But the fact of the matter is, it's like we get caught up in this, right? The question is now, it's like, okay, it was never justified to kill that child. But now the question is, whose blood, morally, is that a child? Like, look like these African child soldiers, right? You get like 8, 9, 10 years old. They're already picking up AK-47s. They're already grooming them to be like, yeah, kill him, be a man, don't be weak. They're grooming, and now you're, now you're face to face with this child, this 10-year-old with the AK and stuff. He's a legitimate threat. You understand that, right? Like, even though he's a child, he's a legitimate threat.
right? You don't have
So,
you're selling the same crap.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really emphasizing this point because it's like you're gonna have to kill that child, but it's like who's responsible? Did you kill it, or was it the innocent that was killed?
Kill the child with the weapon.
Yeah, exactly. You robbed it.
It's just like a child soldier. They use them in gangs in Chicago. You know, if they're shooting and killing you, and
we need to show this. We need to show what they're doing in Gaza. Hey guys, I gotta bounce. Thank you for listening to my TED talk. But ultimately speaking, guys, yeah, this is what we're dealing with here, Meow. We're at the end of the day, we're not fighting Muslims or jihadis. We're fighting Mohammedanes. That's what they are here, Meow. We're fighting Mohammedanes, and from now on, that's what I'm going to be calling them from now on.
Mohammedanes.
Gangster, you have to make Arafat look like a Muslim. I mean, those two ideologies, socialism, communism, and Islam share a deep common framework. That's why they work in synergy. Like my country, Algeria, Afghanistan, Iran. This collectivism, those people living in a parallel universe and heavily indoctrinated, like those ideology. One may be atheist and the other theist. It doesn't really mean anything because they share the same skeleton and they work together.
But yeah, anyways, that's that, guys. Yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. That's what we're doing. Yeah, and you'll see like these Muslims will say, "Oh, why do that's not?" You see it in Amir's room specifically. It's not okay, guys. Let's not bring religion into this. It's not about religion. Bull fucking shit, bro. We're not the one that brought religion into this. You did. Your resistance that you supported. At the end of the day, we need to hit, because if we're not addressing the core problem, we're always going to be basically fighting phantoms. That's kind of what we're doing right now. It's smoke screens and illusion acts, and we're fighting phantoms, guys. What's a good movie analogy? Matrix, when it's like you had all these Andersons, or when the hero is fighting a villain and the villain like clones himself to like 20, 30 different people, but it's like, what's the real one? What's the authentic one of those clones? Yeah, that's kind of what they're doing. They're like kind of cloning these different these different talking points, or cloning, of themselves. But it's like, yeah, the Palestinian issue, but it's the land dispute. Yeah, Palestinian issue, but it's the resistance to occupation. Yeah, this, but a human rights violation. It's the Palestinian. It's like, no, it's the Palestinian issue because it's an Islamic issue. That's the authentic villain. That's the one we need to target. Everything else are just clones.
We all agree with you. That's the whole point. Like, you're wasting your talent on talented people. It's the dumb people that won't listen to one sentence or one word of what you have to say because they disagree with you. You're not selling anyone here. We're already sold.
Yeah, I think it's just more of me having a brain dump, really. That's really
cathartic,
yeah.
That's
totally
true.
Correct.
And I salute like a gangster's knowledge about Islam. It's really, if most people knew like half of what he said,
they would probably
be in a better place, right?
It's not that he's trying to sell us. If you were gonna learn from it, it gives you talking tracks.
Yeah.
Well,
you just
take
out
so much more than
because even when you were addressing Islam, here's the thing. Back to my Moroccan friend. It was my Moroccan friend that said this. Like, you want to understand, Islam is the religion of Muhammad, not the religion of Allah. Remember that. The only way that they're worshiping Allah is through Muhammad and what Muhammad taught them and what Muhammad gave them. That's it. You want to understand Islam? It's not even in the Quran or the Hadith exclusively. If you really want to understand Islam, understand Muhammad, and you'll see the whole picture, and you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. That's it.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
And for a minute, first off, I just want to thank the gangster, the OG, for dropping some serious facts. I sent him this morning. I was like, hey, let's do a room on this topic later. And I sent him the video that's linked above. Now, if you guys want, I can play a little bit of it. 17 minutes long. We can listen to it if you guys want to provide feedback. But I'll just tell you, the eye-opening part was, so Charlie Kirk is in the video. And he does this back and forth with students on college campuses. And this pro-Pally guy, he's asking questions about. And it's just so eye-opening, the answers. In fact, even alarming. So what do you guys think? Can I play the first couple minutes of it? Maybe we'll stop.
It's not that long, especially the question, when he asked the question, you have a little back and forth.
And then he goes over some of the history, because one of the things that these Islamists will tell you is, oh, we lived alongside with Jews side by side, no problem. It's like we lived in peace with the Jews, right? And so.
Yeah. So guys, anyways,
tell me what you think, okay?
Yeah, it's a good video, guys. Definitely listen to it. Listen to it, watch it. But once again, I speak with a little bit of passion because, and this has kind of been my other two.
This is possibly, we've got something a little different today. So this is possibly the dumb.
You need me to pause it?
Yeah, I was just going to say this last point, right? I don't even approach this as something like, oh, it's a political issue or religious issue. It's like, no, I'm actually taking this more of a personal issue with a personal passion because it's this very evil, this very ideology that has made I'm just repeating because there's new people. This is the very ideology that has made the Jewish people suffer for the last 1400 years and during the time of Muhammad and his ideology perpetually. 10/7 wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Muhammad. What's going on in the sea attacks and none of that would have happened if it wasn't for Muhammad. Remember that. So I take this as a personal passion. I take this personal. This is the suffering of my people because of it, and a lot of people can relate. But yeah, anyways, love you guys. Gonna bounce off. Take care.
What is going on? So who believes that Jews living peacefully under Islam?
Yeah, we're going to listen to a quick video and then we're going to open it for comments after that, okay? All right, so here goes.
We've got something a little different today. So this is possibly the dumbest response to a question on the Gaza conflict I've ever heard. So
just give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear it, okay?
We've got something a little different today. So this is possibly the dumbest response to a question on the Gaza conflict I've ever heard. So Charlie Kirk is doing his thing on a university campus, and he asks a reasonable question, and listen to the response.
If Israel laid down all of their weapons and said our military is no more, what would happen? At this point in time, I don't believe they would come to a two-state solution after everything that's gone on. That wasn't the question. If Israel disbanded its military, yes, what would happen? The Palestinians would take over, but they would let the Jews. Okay. Listen. Not forcefully. This is how they operate. This is how Muslims operate Islamically. They let them live under them in jizya. They tax them and they let them live, and they take that tax and give it back to them. How do you think the Ottoman Empire worked and lasted 600 years? How do you think the Golden Age of Islam lasted for 300 years? Because this is history. So, no, I just want to make sure I understand. So they would just take over mostly peacefully? No, most definitely peacefully, because that's what... Can you show me an example of Jews living peacefully under Islamic rule? Most definitely. Where? When the Hamas had the Israeli captives. Have you seen the Israeli captives they killed? They're not killed. There was a 9-month-old baby that just got returned home as a corpse by Hamas.
Wow. That really does say it all, doesn't it? His example of Jews living peacefully under Islam wasn't the golden age of Islam. It wasn't it. No. It was when thousands of Hamas terrorists invaded Israel and brutally killed and raped anyone they could find. I mean, we've all seen the videos of what they were doing to Thai workers with garden hose. I mean, it was horrendous. And this is peaceful. Not only that, he's then saying that the captives, the hostages that were taken into Gaza, were an example of how it could be to live under Islam. So if we lived under Islam, I'm a Jew, I could look forward to being kept in a dungeon, the majority of us being killed, being malnourished, being abused, being tortured. I mean, sounds great. That's after we've all been taken captive as well. And you see, there is precedent for this. So what Charlie Kirk doesn't know, and I'm going to elaborate, or maybe he does know, I don't know, is the actual history of what it was like for Jews living under Islam. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go first through the scriptural precedent. So in Islam...
So listen, before we go through the history of it, I decided to just kind of pause it right there. I want to open it up for comments. Brian just got here. Brian, we're watching this video that's linked above. Some of us have already watched. I sent it out to a few people earlier to watch it ahead of time. Maybe I'll try and add a couple more people into my preview list to have a more engaging conversation about reality versus just some of the nonsense that we go back and forth on. So anyway, let's open it up for comments and welcome also Ricky and Phoenix Flyer and Flo to the stage.
Yeah, I've actually watched this video beforehand. Someone sent this to me, but I actually saw the original version of the video. If you see what he says later on, that he actually quotes Rambam to the letters to the Yemeni Jews, where he says that the worst people that have ever caused atrocity towards us and molested us and psychologically abused us and pretty much has been a detriment to our entire community have been none but the Muslim people. He quotes that very clearly. I also, since he actually is Palestinian, also mentioned about the time when the Muslims were giving safe haven to supposedly the Jews. They were mostly using them as useful idiots. So the Jews at the time had issues with the Visigothic Empire, especially the Christians. Yes, they were being oppressed, but they were far more oppressed once the Jews allowed the Muslims to take over, and suddenly they asked to be saved by the Christians. But at that time,
I have the recording. I can hear you. You told Andrew straight up that I called you the K word. Are you fucking insane? What is wrong with you, man? That's not funny. I haven't had a chance to fucking go off on you. You piece of fucking shit. How much lower could you possibly go than trying to do that with me?
Hi, honey. If you excuse me, honey badger. Excuse me, honey badger. This is subscribe. If you could put me in the queue, thank you very much, honey. No, you can be quiet. You can be quiet. You can be quiet.
Shut the fuck up.
You can be quiet.
Shut the fuck up.
You can be quiet. You can be quiet. You can be quiet.
Honey, it's like, I don't know, man, like, moderate stage how you see fit, but like, Daniel, like, I want some kind of answer from you. Some sort of account.
Daniel, you should tell him to change his PTR. It's disgusting, like his personality. You're the asshole that you claim other people are assholes. You are the asshole, Toast. Don't you see? Don't you look in the mirror and see you're a piece of shit? You're the piece of shit that you accuse people of being pieces of shit. That's you, Toast. You're the piece of shit.
I'm not talking to you, okay? You stupid little cunt.
It's called a stage. I don't care who you're talking to. I'll say what I want to say. It's America.
Honey bun.
Toast, look, you've been flirtatious with the anti-Semitism.
No, but I never.
Rose!
Just admit that.
I don't remember me ever saying that you said that I said that.
No, you told Andrew. You swore to Andrew that I called you the K word. You signed that off to Andrew. I remember it. How
I wasn't drunk.
Well, then what the fuck? You clearly remember you doing it. You know you did it like 2 days ago.
You know what? Toast, look, you're again.
You're gonna deny. So wait, hold on. You're gonna sit there smuggling and deny it. Now you're gonna deny it.
You said that to me.
And I called you the K word.
What do you?
Wait, aren't you Sabbath observant, Toast? What are you doing on the app right now?
Shut the fuck up. You told Andrew a few days ago I called you the K-I-K-E word.
Kiki.
Sort of like role play.
So you're gonna troll me about it. You're gonna troll me about it.
I'm not. No, look, I'm gonna be serious. I think that.
Okay, be serious.
No, I think you've been way too sort of liberal, you know, with your paintbrush. And you these little anti-Semitic stuff.
But you can't dude, you can't do bullshit. You can't pull the bullshit that, like, you know, you're saying that I called you some sort of, like, you know,
Self-roast barbecue.
You did it, you don't even remember.
No, wait.
You're the word K word.
You're gonna go that? Okay, right, sure.
Right. You called me an NK.
What a stretch.
Because I dared to say Jesus was a Jew.
Jesus wasn't Jewish, according to Toast?
Jesus wasn't. Yeah, ironically, Jesus wasn't Jewish. Funny little fact, but yeah.
What was he then? What was his religion or his background? Who is he?
I'm not gonna talk like you're a known psychopath. I'm not gonna talk to you.
I'm a known psychopath. Are you projecting, Dr. Toast, with your psychopathic PTR?
I'm washing my hands right now.
Well, you can deal with me because you're not a moderator. You'll have to deal with the situation right now, and that means you're a piece of shit. You're the piece of shit you claim other people to be. That's you.
I'm not talking to you, dumbass. I'm not talking to you.
Oh, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the air. I'm looking at my phone. I'm talking to the air. I'm talking to a fucking vapor. You know, that's what you are. You're just a nothing.
I swear to God, honey, please, man.
Oh, talk to honey. Talk to your honey bun. Talk to your little baby honey bun. I don't think your little baby honey bun gives a shit.
Look, we got to get past this. Let me just say one final thing to Toast. You made that joke and you said, look, honey, I shrunk the Jews at the movie. And you said, no, yeah, and you had Hitler on you, look.
You're such a filthy fucking. Can you like be honest for like 5 seconds and be like, you can't even do it. You can't tell the truth.
Can you be sober for like 30 seconds?
That's the best you got. You're gonna troll me about like my sobriety. That's your best. You're gonna gaslight me and then troll me about being drunk. That's the best you got. You can't even like be honest and realize I never called you any of these slurs that you're like referring to. You know it and I know it. Why are you modding? What you kick Daniel and Roy Mr. Mod? What the fuck?
Look, the bottom line is that we're not going to tolerate this anti-Jew shit.
They're trying to be disrespectful to you, Toast, because you're disrespectful.
James, can you...
Yeah, keep that mouth shut.
James, stick your audio.
Final straw for me was the honey I shrunk the Jews comment. Look.
Why are you gaslighting? Why are you gaslighting? Why are you lying? You're purposely gaslighting.
Honey, I shrunk the kids.
Dude, you are such a humongous, like, I mean, oh my God.
I'm such a humongous.
Daniel, you're humongous.
No, I was gonna use some more colorful words after that, but I'm choosing not to.
Daniel is humongous from the Road Warrior.
Why do you hate Jewish people? Why do you like to flirt?
I've got no. I do not hate Jewish people.
Why do you like to flirt with this?
You're not gonna turn this around on me.
Why do you think that the Messiah, Jesus Christ, isn't Jewish? Why isn't he a Jew?
Why did you insult me for saying Jesus was a Jew?
It's not accurate.
You don't think Jesus is a Jew, and I make K-word.
We're making a peanut butter jelly sandwich, Toast. You're in the middle. Do you want to be the PB&J?
Okay, so why don't you call me the K-word again?
I never did.
Oh my God! I have a recording of it, dum-dum.
Please send it over. I'd love to hear it.
You said it 4 or 5 times.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Toasted. You're toasted.
Please prove it.
Yeah.
I can't change people's audio.
I just don't appreciate what you have to say about the Holocaust and your denial of it.
That's not what's on the table right now.
Okay, well then fine. Why don't you get on the record and tell us how many Jews you think suffered and died?
I already told you this is not what we're discussing right now. Okay, we're discussing you and lying about my character. You lied about it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, then prove it. Can you please, if you're not going, if you're going to keep on arguing about this, at least put your balls in the table.
I got you, man. You understand that was the final straw for you?
I was in Andrews last night.
Well, maybe there's a moment of reprieve for you.
You're such a stupid cunt. You know that?
Oh my gosh, you're a stupid cunt and humongous. Toast, did you ever think that all the criticism you spray at other people should be self-reflective? I mean, you should know that, you are the fucking moron, that you're the roast. You're here for your roast. Let's begin the roast of the toast.
Hey, James, I think you're hot, bro.
Dude,
Dude, Jason's not micing for like 5 minutes straight. I've been saying it.
He's a grandmother. What do you expect? Just look at Toast. What are you doing on a beautiful Friday night other than arguing with Daniel, who's humongous?
You're not gonna
Do you have a life? Do you have like a girlfriend or a book or a gym or something you can do with your life other than come here and get roasted? Because, this is your roast.
Why can't you guys kick this guy? I don't know why you can't do it.
Well, I don't know why they can't kick me, but because you're not a moderator, maybe.
Toast, look. I spoke the truth, and it was difficult.
Okay, just prove it. Can you just prove it? Send me the audio. Please send me the
care
audio.
about these North Koreans' opinions, man. Seriously.
No, it's like, but Daniel lied to me, lied to my face, and
Okay, look.
and then you keep on muting.
Toast, I'm not
North Korea.
You're not even being muted. You're faking it again.
Why are you gaslighting me so hard?
I'm not gaslighting you, Toast. When you called me the K word
That's crazy talk. You don't.
and the N word, I
never did that. I never did that. You did. Prove it.
Can you prove that Daniel is humongous?
Just send me the audio. It should be easy for you.
Look, it seems like you're a couple deep. Sheets to the wind.
Actually, ironically, no. I usually tell the truth about this, but no, I haven't. Can you guys stop?
Look,
Seriously, stop.
Look, you were gaslighting a drunken man on stage while you were drunk. You were criticizing him for drinking.
Do I really sound that drunk?
While you were drinking, right? Toast.
Why you're just gonna accuse me of drinking every time I get on?
I'm not accusing you of drinking. You can have a drink.
Me, you fucking bitch.
I'm not muting you. Stop muting yourself. Because it's not funny and no one's going to believe it. Stop.
You're not. This isn't appreciated, man. I don't know.
Toast, no one's buying it. Stop muting yourself.
Does Royce want to own up to it? I mean, he could do it.
Can't you deal with it, Toast? Can't you listen? Are you incapable of listening for about 10 seconds straight? I don't think you are. I think you're toast. And this is your roast. Welcome to the roast of the toast.
Why can't you guys kick this kid out? The love God or kick this kid out.
Don't project your own schizophrenia onto me, Toast. Make sure to take care of yourself and look out for your health.
If you're still there and you haven't modded me yet, I'm gonna take that as a personal insult.
Ooh, he's personally insulted. He's not a moderator.
All right, what did you mean? Okay, fine. Explain this little joke of yours to us. What does it mean when you put your profile picture as Hitler and say, "Honey, I shrunk the Jews"? What's that joke?
You lied about me, and you had no issue lying.
Hello?
Little joke.
You don't.
Hello? Can somebody please stop muting Toast? He's got so much to tell us. He's so intelligent.
It's Daniel who's doing it, but whatever. Anyways.
Yeah, explain the joke. Explain how it's funny that what's so funny about some Toast. Explain to me what is so funny about the picture up there. That you think it's funny that someone doesn't have arms or legs and they're surfing?
Why don't you have any remorse?
Why do you think that's funny? Why did you have that as your profile?
Why do you think you can just make a bad comment anytime you want?
Why did you think that was funny? And why did you have that as your profile picture?
Why are you such a lying piece of shit, dude? Why are you guys like?
You had a profile picture of someone wearing a yarmulke with no arms and legs, and somehow you think that man surfing is fit for
Okay, wait. I think I understand now. So clearly, this is like this is right. Like, wait, dude, I feel like you talk.
Answer the question, or you're gonna stop muting him. Whoever's muting him. Stop muting yourself.
Oh, gosh damn it, honey! Why'd you mod him? That was like the worst thing.
Okay, explain the humor in the image.
I think the argument should be made. Why isn't a quadriplegic
What's
Jew
so
surfing?
funny about a Jewish man with no arms and legs?
Daniel, you already
Explain to me what's so funny about a Jewish man with no arms and legs surfing. And that was your profile picture.
Am I gonna keep on getting muted? I keep on getting 2 words in, and then
muted. You fucking liar. You're not getting muted.
It's really not funny. It's kind of funny, but it's not that.
Well, you get muted or a quadriplegic
We'll
Jewish
just
surfer?
flush that turd. Let's move on. Majid, do you want to come up here? We needed to hear from you.
Can someone clean the toilet bowl from Toast's disgusting personality and opinions? Because that turd, though you may flush him, he leaves stains. He leaves stains on the toilet bowl. Toast.
Only his own stains.
What do your farts smell like, Toast? Do they smell as bad as your opinions?
Margin, I had an honest question for you. Excuse my crackling. Margin, these Muslims that are beheading people and saying Allah Akbar, God is great, are they the real Muslims or are they the fake Muslims? It seems to me that they're the most committed and they really are passionate about their belief. They're passionate. They're committed to this whole LARP. I don't think that they're pretending. I think that someone like you is pretending. They themselves are the ones that aren't.
Daniel, Majid is a gay bookseller in Mecca. What do you think he knows about Islamic terrorism?
Holy shit, Jen, you gotta fucking deal with your volume, man. What happened to your microphone?
Bro's Wi-Fi is at SeaWorld.
Like, what are you doing? Can you, paint a picture of, where your phone is relative to your fucking pie hole and, so we can understand? He's decapitated. Yeah, maybe he was decapitated by an even more fanatical Muslim, right?
Well, where did Toast go? I was enjoying the Toast roast.
I didn't kick him. I don't know why he left. He left because the attention went to someone else.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You see what you did, Phoenix? You ruined the roast. And now all we have left is a gay Muslim in Mecca to roast. That's no fun.
He's not even here either.
He left too?
Oh, he came back, I guess. Never mind.
Are you guys okay?
There's a lot of problems in the world.
Are there any theists?
Majid's here, but I think
Toast was the only Christian?
He's a very angry young man.
Right? Toast is not a serious person, correct?
Oh no, he's serious, all right.
I mean, he's a troll, but I don't know if he's serious about his whole weird version of Christianity. All right, Majid, let me just ask you point blank. When you see a man removing the head of another man and saying God is great, do you think that they're LARPing, that they're pretending to be worshiping God at that moment? Or do you think that they're actually worshiping God in ways that you and I probably don't? Can anyone hear him?
No, his audio is trash.
It's almost like you've decapitated your mic.
And usually he's really loud. Here, I'll answer though. In my opinion, I think that the people that crash out, right, chop off and stuff, they're mostly just disgruntled people that I think believe in something, but I don't know exactly what they're believing in. And if they're saying that they believe in God, they're doing it for God, I might as well believe it, right? Unless I shouldn't believe it. Jed, what do you think? Should I believe them when they say that, when they're chopping off heads? That they're following God and they really, really believe this stuff and think it's legit? Wait. You hear me now?
Okay, we can hear a little bit better now.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it's about technology. Right? It's about
Oh, it's technically the dining room.
So you don't think Sharia?
It's technically the
You don't
dining
think
room.
Sharia is involved? Has anything to do with politics?
Oh, I wanted an American flag.
Sharia is used to be applied, but now it's not applied even in Islamic world. The last time it was like the Ottoman Empire, and then the Ottoman Empire collapsed.
But ultimately,
so let's just do one star.
Ultimately, Islam will reestablish itself and a new caliphate, right?
Oh,
ultimately, this Islam
Yeah,
will
so
take over the world.
the Sunni and Shias. Yeah, the Sunni and
Do you
Shias.
think Islam will take over the world at some point, and we will have Sharia?
Tattoo artist.
No, I don't think so. Actually, because
Let's just do one star. Oh, I wanted an American flag, but 50 stars is very big. So I said to the tattoo artist, let's just do one star.
the liberal voices
One America.
within Muslims is being really increasing.
Do you think that ultimately Islam will establish itself as its dominance again over the world? Yes or no?
It's going good.
No, I don't think so.
What?
I think a lot of people in the West will become more conservative, and the people in the Islamic world will become more liberal.
So you have zero ambitions of establishing another caliphate?
No, I don't have ambition, of course. Why do you think that?
Oh,
Is
fair
that
enough.
like you have a certain stereotype about?
No. So you can look at some of the questions that are asked around the world, and polls that are done. There are a few polls that you can look at, and it's by country, and they see who's in favor of Sharia and who isn't, and you can see what many Muslims believe. And I can send you the link if you want to look at it. But they ask questions about apostasy, about questions about Sharia. So it's not like a mystery that many people want to live in a society that is governed by Islamic law, right? So why are you pretending that isn't there?
Yeah, I don't think that is the case. A lot of Muslims actually, I never voted on such a thing, and I know a lot of Muslims that they just want things to become more lenient or liberal, and like the same thing happened to the West when they started becoming more secular. Muslims now, especially the youth, want secularism more than conservative kind of behavior.
Okay, so the Pew poll attached to the top, you think that that's fake?
No, I don't know what.
Sharia as the revealed word of God. In 17 of 23 countries where the question was asked, at least half of Muslims say Sharia is the revealed word of God. And then it gives you the numbers. And it gives you the numbers.
I don't know. For me, I don't agree that it should be like.
It doesn't matter.
I don't agree that it should. I don't agree if it should be in my.
You are always trying to sugarcoat the problems of Islam. And I'm bringing it to your attention again. Please don't do it. I know you're trying to make it seem like Islam is all A-okay and everything's liberal about it, but I'm giving you a poll, right, and research that shows there's a problem.
Wow.
Revealed word of God in Russia, 56% of Muslims think it's revealed. Bosnia, Kosovo, 30%. Albania, Tajikistan, 60%. Pakistan, 81% think it's the real word of God. Afghanistan, 73%. Bangladesh, 65%. Jordan, 85% think Sharia is the revealed word of God. You get it? It's a problem, right? Islam is about politics. It's about the law. It's about global domination. Now, where am I going wrong? Is this poll fake?
No, I think every kind of political entity in the world will have this kind of aspiration to dominate the world. You can see that in China. You can see that in Russia, the United States, any country. They will have this kind of aspiration that they only serve their own interest. So I think Muslims have that kind of stuff too. Like when Muslims choose something for a political reason, they choose something that serves their own interest, just like any other place in the world.
Okay, so you do admit that many Muslims are interested in establishing Sharia.
No.
No, I never heard a Muslim talk about Sharia. Only non-Muslims talk about Sharia. For Muslims, I know that when they
you see the poll at the top.
Yeah.
You know what the question was asked?
Okay, there are people that believe in Sharia. I think people will say yes when asked.
Is Sharia the revealed word of God? In 17 of the 23 countries where the question was asked, at least half of Muslims say Sharia is a revealed word of God. Right? You think God commands that laws ought to be a certain way, that societies ought to be structured a certain way. God thinks that, right? And you're here downplaying it, and no one's buying it.
I'm not downplaying it.
Okay, explain to me what counts for this.
Yeah, people who vote for such things actually vote for that for personal selfish reasons. For example, someone who wants to marry 4 wives, he wants Sharia law to be applied so he can be free to have 4 wives. Someone who disagrees with LGBTQ things will support Sharia because he don't want his children to be taught LGBT stuff. Of course, people will say that, and even Muslims in the West, they rather have Sharia law instead of secular law because of these kind of personal reasons, not for political kind of establishment of a political country that will dominate the world.
They think that God commanded it. You understand that, right?
Yeah, but I always say that.
Now I'll ask you another question. The next question. That's enough. Okay, they asked them, is there one?
What is going on here?
They asked them, no, but Majid, come on. If you don't want to talk about
it, it's not an interrogation or.
No, of course not. You're in a position where you're in a position where you can correct us because you understand these numbers better than us. I'm looking at the Pew poll results. Maybe they're fucking wrong, and you could help us understand that, right? Now I'll ask the question. The question was, is there one or multiple interpretations of Sharia? Right? 56% said there's one in Bosnia. Russia, 56 said there's only one. Tajikistan, 70% said there's one. Azerbaijan, 65 said there's only one interpretation.
Damn it.
Even in Turkey, 36% there's only one interpretation. Thailand, 51. Indonesia, 45% say there's one interpretation. Afghanistan, 67% say there's one interpretation. It just goes on and on. It's a parade. It's a parade of Sharia and God politics. It's what it is, Majid. I'm sorry, but Islam. Sorry, go ahead.
What I was saying is that there is no this kind of.
You're down to low volume again, Majid.
Oh my God.
It's like the word.
Come on, Majid, get with it, man. You expect to have a reasonable debate here where no one can hear you? What's the problem?
Yeah, let me just admit, Majid.
My Bluetooth headphones.
Well, pull out your Quran. Pull your Quran out and try to find out what the technical problem is according to the Quran.
Yeah, subscribe, settle down. Majed, you need to come with some strong points to defend your...
I charge my headphones 5 minutes, I come back.
Look, Majid has a history of painting a picture of Islam to the West that's more sanitized and more palatable. He knows what Westerners want to hear. But when we look at the numbers, when we look at the data, we see there's this ravenous desire within Islam for this ambition of global domination and law, and they just can't wait to get their hands on at the helm. They want to control the globe, and they want to establish another empire, another caliphate, and the numbers bear that out. It's obvious. Now, we're not Majid. We're going to go to the next question that was asked about Sharia. Should
Is this
Sharia
Danny,
be the
Danny?
law of the land? Right? 42% in Russia say yes. 86% in Malaysia say, are in favor of making Sharia the law of the land. Thailand, 77%. Indonesia, 72%. Afghanistan, 99%. Pakistan, 84%. Bangladesh, 82%. Iraq, 91%. Palestinian territory, 89%. Morocco, 89%. I'm sorry, Iraq, 91%. Palestinian territory, 89%. Morocco, 83%. Egypt, 74%. Jordan, 71%. Niger, 86%. It goes on and on and on, Majid. And you're trying to paint this picture that there isn't some desire within Islamic societies and culture to enforce Sharia?
I know.
Give me a fucking break, Majid. You can stop the act. Go ahead.
Yes,
Explain these numbers. Are they wrong?
I don't know, man. You just put a random link and then it asking me if that is correct or not.
Do you know what a Pew poll is?
Right? So,
It's a Pew
I know
poll.
what a poll is, but like you
A Pew poll. It's a particular type of poll.
You are asking a question, right? Your question is that is there an agenda for Muslims to establish Sharia law all over the world? I said no. However, I know that people support that for personal reasons. And I told you about people who want to have 4 wives prefer Sharia law because that is in their interest of having that kind of thing.
I don't know how I should say it.
They go to the West.
I'll have to show you one sometime soon.
Secular laws, they tend to wish that Sharia law is the case. However, there are countries that actually feel like they want to regain kind of caliphate. For example, in Turkey, Erdogan, for example,
Basquiat.
they want like the Ottoman Empire to come back. However, that's it. Like there is no unity on that kind of thing.
Majid, do you realize that Saudi Arabia wouldn't even permit the polling to take place? It was banned. You couldn't even ask these questions, so we could never even get at the numbers from Saudi Arabia, which you know are going to be higher than other places. Given that Saudi Arabia funds more Islamic terror, Wahhabism, Salafism, which is the Majid. Can you please fix your mic?
I'm charging my headphones, man.
I can't hear a word.
Hopefully the bull will buy us a condo in
This
Southbridge.
is what Majid says. In the face of all
Hopefully
this
the bull
polling
will buy us a
data,
condo
which
in
is posted at the
Southbridge.
top, he says that Muslims, by and large, do not wish for Sharia to be implemented. They don't wish to live in societies with Sharia. They just have these personal. The reason that they think of Sharia is because for personal reasons, right? It has nothing to do with God. The fact that God commands Sharia, right?
You want to go?
So Majid, I want
Yeah,
you to really...
so
there you go.
I believe that sexual desires have a huge impact on ideological preferences. Sexual preferences have a huge impact on ideological preference. So if someone is straight, right, they want 4 submissive wives, they would like Sharia law to be the case. And also a lot of people are converting to Islam not because of these kind of political reasons, but because they think that Islam is the most red pill religion and it will actually give them the ideal life that they want. A lot of Muslims who are born Muslims are like that. And they go to other countries and then they discover that in schools they are teaching children that it's okay to be gay, that they will feel bad. They want that kind of rules that they used to have in their own country that they left, which is weird, but this is what I know for a fact, that a lot of people will prefer this religious kind of ideologies because of their own kind of personal interests. The same things in the West. You will find that people who have this kind of conservative views will lean more towards making the country Christian or more religious, and the liberals that have a certain kind of preferences will lean more towards secularism.
Okay, so speaking of secularism, let's take a look at the next question. Should religious judges decide family or property disputes? Should religious judges, this is amongst Sharia, amongst Muslims who say Sharia should be the law of the land. This is the percentage of that thinks that religious judges should decide. 62% in Russia, 55% Albania, 66% Tajikistan, 88% Malaysia, 84% Thailand, Indonesia 71%, Pakistan 87%. That's what's going to happen if people get their way. They want to have religious judges. They don't want secular societies, Muslims.
Yeah, but if you look at
let me just finish the numbers. Pakistan 87%, Afghanistan 78%, Bangladesh 78%, Egypt 95%, Jordan 93%, Palestinian territory 80%, Iraq 76%, Lebanon 75%, and also again I will note many of the more conservative countries like the one you live in, Majid, wouldn't even allow the polling to take place. So we would see the numbers even higher. People should understand that if, according to these numbers, if Muslims have their way, there will be religious judges judging us, right? And the numbers are horrifying. What do you think about that? Do you think that there should be religious judges?
I think it is. No, I don't think so. And I prefer secular. I prefer secular kind of law. And I know for a fact that the new generation in Islamic world prefers secular over religious. But if they are like very conservative, they want to live like their parents, they tend to be more conservative, and then they tend to be more leaning towards like religious stuff because they want to live that kind of lifestyle.
Dinner?
But I know for a fact that the new generation doesn't want that. A lot of people in Iran, a lot of people in Pakistan, or these countries, or even in my country, there are this kind of support for becoming more secular than becoming more conservative. There are people who are resisting that, and these people are the conservative people who want, for example, someone wants to have a wife that no one can see, only him can see that wife, and that wife is submissive, and he will be territorial about that wife. He wants that kind of rules, right? I believe, really, that sexual, this is my belief, sexual preferences have a huge impact on ideological preference, even in the West.
Do your sexual preferences dictate what you think about these sorts of things?
I don't let my sexual preference dictate my ideological kind of leaning towards. For example, I believe in God, for example, and if I let my sexual preference dictate my ideological preference, I would be an atheist right now. So,
but how can you have how can you?
Look, look, Maja, I appreciate you feeling these questions, and look, your perspective means a lot, and it's going to put some of these poll numbers into perspective, obviously, and I appreciate you pushing back. This is the next question. Do you favor corporal punishments for crimes such as theft? 43 Albania say yes. 88% Pakistan, yes. Afghanistan, 81%. Palestinian territory, 76%. Egypt, 70%. Jordan, 57%. Iraq, 56%. Lebanon, 50%. So, I mean, the numbers aren't looking too good about this corporal punishment. What is hudud punishments?
Hudud means lines or red lines, and hudud means these things are the things that can prevent certain phenomena to occur in a society. So a had or hudud. Yeah, so a had or hudud is something.
Condo in South Beach.
Sorry?
You said lions.
Sorry, red lines.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like death by lions.
What is the type of punishment?
Red
What is
line.
hudud punishment?
Hudud in Islamic, it means like something that should not be crossed.
Right. And the punishment for those crossing that lines is what? It's to have your hands cut off, right?
They have.
It's commanded in the Quran. If you don't want to convert to Islam, then you have to pay the humiliation tax. And one of the reasons for it, according to Ibn Hajar Asqalani, is, and this is one of the main reasons behind it. Give me 1 second, I can pull up the exact quote. Let me see.
Eva, I will put the link to the Quranic verse explaining the tax for non-believers. I mean, Ahl al-Kitab, like Christians and Jews. It's a tax for supposedly protection under Islamic Caliphate. And it clearly says that this tax should be given while being belittled, humiliated, depending on the translation that you get. It's always depicting an inferior status for the non-believer that pays that tax.
Yeah.
So it's an
Here's what Ibn Hajar says in Fath al-Bari. He says, the intent of the jizya is so that they would be coerced towards Islam. So it is as if he, Muhammad, said, until they enter Islam or accept what will lead them to Islam. So the whole point is to basically convert them to Islam. It's also so that way they won't have to fight, so they'll be protected. And protected from what exactly? Well, according to scholars like Al-Marghanani in his book Al-Hadaya, the reason is that jizya is imposed in place of death. So it is not imposed on whose killing is not permitted due to unbelief, like minor children and women. So basically the whole point of the jizya is it's a substitute for death, and it's also to be able to get people to convert to Islam. So yeah.
One thing, because I've heard this as well, that in the Middle East and North Africa, where the Arabs are, Ethiopians, Jewish lived peacefully. I've heard this as well. But where I've seen proof of it is that in those communities, the Jewish seem to do well. They're businessmen, they seem to do financially quite well. Some of the most wealthy in Morocco were the Jewish community. So
it really depends on when and where they lived. So, for example, we have Maimonides, who lived in Islamic Spain. Well, he did live good under people like Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. He was his physician. There was times such as under the Almohads, which I talked about just a moment ago, which he talks about how terribly they were treated under them. So let me just get it here. In Maimonides' Epistle to Yemen, Let me grab it here. I should be able to find it.
In the link above, I'm not sure who's been speaking. Was that Eva or Eva that's been asking these questions? Hi, Eva. I'm your Miahu.
Hi.
In that video above, the speaker actually highlights and discusses Maimonides specifically and about how, he may have been treated well. He was a doctor. He was one of the top surgeons. He was very scholarly and at a high station for his for who he was. That being said, in his writings, he writes about how oppressive they are and how the writings from that era, from someone that the Muslims claim, oh, look at how great. They actually call him out, Maimonides. They say it in Arabic, though.
The thing is this, though,
The exact quote.
There is one source that they try to use all the time for some reason.
Do you want me to play it from that video? You want me to find the area that he describes it?
What, where Maimonides talks about...
Yeah.
Yes, please, because I want to see if I can find the source myself, but if you have it, that would be great.
Well, I don't have the original source. I have the source from, the video. He might, it might be in the show notes. Let me look real quick.
Maimonides' Epistle to Yemen. Let me see if I can... It should be like on Wikipedia or something like that. So let's take a look.
They made an AI Rambam that you can question. I didn't know.
An AI Rambam. That's funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I want to just read here because it should be... Oh, here we go. I found it. I should be able to read it now. All right. Remember, my co-religionists, that on account of the vast number of our sins, God has hurled us in the midst of this people, the Arabs, who have persecuted us severely and passed baneful and discriminatory legislation against us. As Scripture has forewarned us, our enemies themselves shall judge us. Deuteronomy 32:31. Never did a nation molest, degrade, debase, and hate us as much as they. And let's take a look at what else is said. I can find it right here.
You should look at the jizya and what it says in the final words of why they should pay the jizya. It's like it's like to humiliate. It's like literally, it's to make them submit. I mean, it's disgusting actually. And he quotes it in the video as well, and he says that it comes from the Quran.
Yeah.
So he says there's only one reference.
I just posted it.
Okay, thanks, Aya.
That's okay.
Anyways, here's what the rest of it says. Therefore, when David, of blessed memory, inspired by the Holy Spirit, envisaged the future tribulations of Israel, he bewailed and lamented their lot only in the kingdom of Ishmael, and prayed in their behalf for their deliverance, as is implied in the verse, Woe is me that I sojourn with Meshach, and that I dwell beside the tents of Kedar. Psalm 120, verse 5. Note the distinction between Kedar and the children of Ishmael. And here's a little comment he says about Muhammad. For the madman and imbecile is of the lineage of Kedar. Is of the lineage of the children of Kedar, as they readily admit. Daniel alludes only to our humiliation and degradation, like the dust and threshing suffered at the hands of the Arabs. May they speedily be vanquished. So, yeah. There we go. That's what he describes living like under the Almohads. The usual Muslim response is, oh, well, the Almohads also persecuted Muslims. Well, that doesn't matter. It's an example of Muslims persecuting Jews. That's the whole point. I mean...
So the thing is, there are different ethnic groups that were in the Middle East. For example, Black Africans have been in the Middle East for thousands of years ago. The Islamic book even says Prophet Abraham, he had a female, he married a female slave, Hajar. So this is going really far back.
Hagar was Egyptian, yeah.
No, she was Ethiopian. In Islam.
No, Hagar was from Egypt. Even the Islamic sources, Jewish sources, all talk about how she was from Egypt.
Okay, so they had black slaves for a long time, but the black people within the Middle East, even after slavery, still did not have the status of the Jewish people.
Oh, the planets are
Even though the black slaves did convert, were Muslims, lived as Muslims, they still didn't have the level of prosperity as the Jews. So it seems like the Muslims did allow the Jewish people to prosper economically. Okay, there was a tax, and there was probably some Jews that couldn't afford the tax, but there wasn't. There were other groups that were oppressed in the Middle East.
I mean, nobody's denying that there were other groups oppressed in the Middle East. Just this we're talking about right now, specifically with Jews. And I already mentioned this earlier. Like the Jews that did live good were usually upper class and upper class societies. Like that's the thing. They're the ones who would usually live good under Islamic rule. It was always at the cost of the majority. Like scholars like Helena Schrader talk about this in an interview that a guy called Baba Speaker's Corners interviewed her on the Crusades and like that, and she talked about like when the Muslims were like ruling the Crusader states, and same in other places under Islamic rule, like in Spain and all that stuff. It was something used specifically, like the only ones living good were usually upper class Jews. You have it in the Ottoman Empire, sure, where they did live better compared to like most Islamic rulings and like that. But even in the Ottoman Empire, at best they were tolerated, and there's a difference between being tolerated and being given equal rights. So yeah, being treated equally.
They still had the dhimmi status, but like the Jewish quarter was most of the time built next to the castle of the bey or the Ottoman leader of that region, and they were kind of protected because they were serving by doing jobs that no one wanted to do and being successful in those. They were also protected by the bey or the chief. For their services. So it's like a 50-50 situation. They didn't have equality still, but it has been acquired that they would be protected by the leader because they were at the service of the caliph or the Muslim leader of the place. It's because they were useful.
I honestly think, I'm not trying to be offensive to the Middle East, but quite frankly, if I had a choice of where to go, the last people I would live amongst is Arabs, because they seem to have a degenerate way of living. God forgive me, but when it comes to, I'll give you an example.
To criticize their own kind of things that they were brainwashed with. Once you lose freedom of speech, it is really hard to retain it because of these things. People cannot speak their minds, and if the government or the majority says something, they have to pretend that they agree. Otherwise, they will face consequences, and that kind of behavior will make that kind of ideology mainstream, and it is less likely that kind of ideology to change in a society. This is the problem with conservative ideology, is what one's freedom of speech and freedom of ideology and thinking is taken away. It is really hard to bring it back.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you answering those questions. I know they're not easy, and I know that you're not like conservative. I think that you represent a very hopeful future for, religion in general and Islam particularly. Do you have any questions about for me, or it's only fair that you can ask me something, but
why is the West becoming less democratic and liberal?
Yeah, that's a great question. What's happening is that, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know what's happening in the minds of my neighbors or the people around me that's persuading them in this direction. I don't know. Does anyone have a better answer to that than me? It's troubling, I'll tell you.
It is, because if I think that the West is really good when it comes to human rights. Also, in my country, women started driving maybe 7 years ago, and that is because the West actually was recommending that it is wrong that women cannot drive, and it should be like the government or whatever should make women drive, and that made that because of the West that they value freedom. Women today have the right to drive. They can go to places. If they are sick, they can go to hospital. They are a little bit more happier. But once you see that the West is becoming more conservative or less democratic and liberal, for people who are waiting for the West to pressure their governments or their people to become more free or democratic, they are losing hope, actually. I have to go, guys. Yeah, try fasting. It's really good. Tomorrow, it's the first day of Ramadan, so demons are going to be chained. And,
I think from where I'm standing in the UK,
Skinny!
One of the reasons that people want to be, at least like seeing that people are becoming like less liberal, is because they
You're useless,
can't
Skinny!
see
You're useless!
that there is much reward in it. And I'm not saying that that's due to the common
you're not
people. I
useless,
think
I'm
it's
just
more
teasing
like the
because
government, right?
I see
But
you
it's
like watch my Instagram
I feel
or my
like,
YouTube or
I've
something, and I'm like,
try to be tolerant and accepting, but all I'm finding is more restrictions on myself. The world, the country changing in ways that I don't like, and so people get kind of like burnt out on like what are we? What's in it for me? I think is like the attitude. And where people are sort of getting burnt out right now. And then along with that, it's just like a whole lot of fear, right? Because of what gets pushed to them through the media or social media and those narratives and things. And then on top of that, the economic problems. And I think that these things start to blend in people's minds, right? That this is bad because of this and so on. So I think it's like a mix of stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the fear is once you lose freedom of speech, it is really hard to bring it back. What if you have freedom of speech right now? That's the best thing that you should preserve. Because once that is lost, it is really bad for people because people will start pretending to be in a certain way that they are actually not. And then that will become mainstream. All people are pretending, and then you will, like, individuals will feel like they are alone and others don't think the same way. But in fact, that you think the same way they think, but all of you are pretending because all of you are fearing the consequences.
What types of things have you felt in your life, more opinions that you had to keep to yourself? Majid, is there any or anything you...
Yeah, that Hinduism is awesome.
And you would be punished for that?
Of course, this is a very, a big no-no. That's the thing that I liked. So I love Hindu stuff. Art, music, stuff like that, meditation. So it is considered to be like a sin to do stuff that is not like from the same religion. And Hinduism is considered to be paganism, and that's the opposite of monotheism. That's so bad. So I had to keep it to myself that I love Hinduism. I don't want others to know about that. Until today, others don't know. Buddhism also. Buddhism, for me, is more interesting than Hinduism, or more logical, not more, less delusional.
So maybe we can start out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're able to speak your mind.
Dublin's.
And I really like that.
Yeah, that's why I love Clubhouse. Because for you guys, it's just an app. For me, it's an opportunity.
So let's start out at Dublin's.
For the first time, of course. I cannot tell others that I'm interested in Buddhism. But here I can. There's nothing, I don't feel there is danger or something. Maybe if rooms are recorded, it can be, but yeah, I like it.
Hey Phoenix, have you ever, since you like the Buddha, have you ever read the book The Dhammapada?
No, I read Old Path, White Clouds by Thich Nhat Hanh.
Oh, you should read the Buddha's writings. It's called The Dhammapada. If you like the Buddha, it's called The Sayings of the Buddha. I know you're gonna love it.
Thanks. The Dhammalada.
I feel like a lot of Muslims should read the Dhammapada because it's all about peace and joy. And unfortunately, the Islamic faith is a militant faith, not a faith based on love and joy and balance and equilibrium. I would say it's sort of an extremist, murderous, terrorist religion that needs reformation, you might say.
No, we need a political system that will make people have freedom of speech. I think that right now people don't have freedom of speech, especially when it comes to Palestine, for example. If you say something against the war in Palestine or against Israel, a lot of places in the world, and including the Middle East, there will be a very huge consequences. Or if you talk about certain monarchies that were installed by Western kind of countries, you will face a lot of bad consequences. Or you speak about, for example, resources being stolen from the Middle East, also you will face consequences. So freedom of speech.
So what you're saying is there's a lot of consequences for living underneath Islamic law. Oh my God, Allah, who would have thought?
There are a lot of consequences if you live in a place that has a lot of oil.
Oil? It's not religion and dogma that's the problem? And terrorism because you think you're the best and the coolest at what you do and that you can fuck everybody else up because like you're the number one, you're the truth, and Muhammad is the truth, and Allah is the truth, the last and the final prophet of the reconciliation of the God universe complex? I mean, come on. Come on. Come on, Phoenix. Leave your faith and admit that it's all bullshit. It's all lies, propaganda, misinformation, hypnosis. Wake up before it's too late.
I love this, man. I love you, man. Yeah, I think that the governments in the Middle East are installed by foreign countries. For example, Syria is installed by Russia. The president now it is getting replaced. Also, Iran is like Russian stuff. Monarchies in the Gulf are because of British kind of empire that removed the Ottoman and then replaced them with these monarchies. Sykes-Picot is something I think with Winston Churchill made, and then these governments are the governments that make people not have freedom of speech.
Wait, did you say that Syria was taken over? I thought Syria was taken over by Turkey and Erdogan, not who you said.
No. Yeah, but before it was by Russia. So Russia was controlled.
Oh, I see. Okay, but not now. Now it's an Islamic terrorist from ISIS, right?
Yeah, so before they had these puppet leaders, until today, like in the Middle East, the governments are just puppets.
Puppets of who?
Leaders are from foreign countries.
Like Saudi Arabia?
Now China is
Qatar and Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I mean, can't you accept any personal responsibility?
Yeah, I think there is people who are not courageous enough to call this out. However, the Arab Spring that happened in Egypt.
That was done by Twitter and Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. They wanted to get Huma Abedin's uncle in power there. And it turns out that General Sisi wasn't a bitch. He wasn't going to let these Muslim radicals run his country with Sharia law. So he killed those fuckers and took Egypt back from the Islamic terrorists trying to take control of a whole country by utilizing a religious dogma which is fake and misinformation in order to rule the people with bullshit.
Yeah, but people voted for them. So they started actually in Tunisia. So in Tunisia, a man came out and burned himself in a protest. That was the start of Arab Spring. And then people of Tunisia started protesting to remove the leader from the country or something. And then once the protest became really intense, he left the country. Guess where he traveled to?
To the third ring in Dante's Hell of Fire.
No, he traveled to Saudi Arabia. So
when is the king of Saudi Arabia gonna die? How long is that fat piece of shit gonna live in the desert?
Yeah, so he ran away from his country to the Gulf. And after that, Egypt started the protest in Egypt. also in Yemen, and the United Arab Emirates and the Gulf countries, I think, started feeling threat. They started financing these kind of, groups that...
Listen, Phoenix, this is irrelevant. This is irrelevant. I'm going to invite you to come to Chicago. I'm going to drop you off in Boys Town on Halsted Street. And I'm going to pay for your drinks. I'm going to bring you to the biggest gay nightclub in the world. And you're going to think you died and went to fucking heaven. Allahu Akbar.
Oh, I will not have, sex because I'm a Muslim. And I will not drink alcohol.
I'm not saying you have to pull your pants down and spread your cheeks for a hot beefy injection. I'm just saying if you're gay, maybe you want to go to a bar and meet some men who you find attractive, and you can begin your gay indoctrination process of being a homosexual and having sexual relations with other men. Because if that's what you think you want, I mean, maybe you need to stop your own bullshit before it happens.
Oh, thank you. I think also you should stop doing these kind of delusional stuff and whatever chaotic things you are trying to communicate.
Excuse me? You're the Muslim here, sir. You're the one projecting the delusional bullshit on people who are not Muslims.
You start becoming a little bit serious and less chaotic.
I'm not being chaotic, sir. It's a Friday night here. I'm drinking a little red wine, smoking a little weed. I'm about to get in a hot bubble bath full of peppermint oil. Then I got a date with a beautiful girl. We're going to go have some pizza with some figs on it and a chicken chop salad. America is at the high point. And with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance telling Zelensky to go fuck himself, we're looking at a period of impeccable peace and incredible order and joy and equilibrium now that Zelensky, the troll, has been put and roasted in his proper place. Listening to Trump and Vance today was like listening to a clubhouse room. It was simply delicious. He was gaslit, and he had no idea how stupid he is. And it is because he's stupid. Zelensky is actually a stupid F-word.
Politics is boring. I think people should invest their time.
Politics is fun because it's being social. You, on the other hand, are boring. You're projecting your own boredom upon us. You're boring.
Politics is all fake.
You're fake.
No, politics is all fake.
No, you're all fake.
There are things that happen behind the curtains that, these are just
Well, you're gay. You're gonna find out what happens behind the curtain sooner or later. Your anal virginity won't remain intact forever, young Phoenix. Sooner or later, some powerful man will ravish that booty hole and please you in ways that you've never come to know before. You're gay. You'll figure it out. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to give that ass up.
Yeah, but I think politics is a waste of time.
You're a waste of time. You are a waste of time, sir.
Thank you very much. So.
Thank you very little. Thank you very little.
Okay. So I think people in Clubhouse actually don't care about politics. So.
Really? Go to any fucking room right now. They're talking about politics. What the fuck are you talking about?
They talk about God.
No, they talk about fucking Trump. They talk about Zelensky. They talk about J.D. Vance. They talk about politics.
Maybe your timeline. My timeline is full of God talk.
Timeline? What? Listen, do you need me to pipe in another room so you can hear that people talk about politics all day long in the same way that you talk about your bullshit?
It's because you follow people who are interested in politics.
No, I talk about politics. I listen to people talk about politics. You talk about bullshit all day long because you are an uneducated simpleton and you're gay just trying to figure things out.
All of us are like that.
No, we're not all like that. You are your own man, my friend. And, I'm my own man as well. I've had my own upbringing, my own conditioning and experiences, and I don't live in Mecca and sell books, and nor do I want to suck dick or have dick put in my booty hole, nor do I want to put my dick in a booty hole, because I'm not gay. I ain't gay no more! I ain't gay no more!
just waste your time in front of these devices, mobile phones, in front of you. Yeah, you can
Just like you, Phoenix. What is your point in even being on Clown House? Like, what are you trying to achieve here by even talking right now, at this very moment, now?
Yeah, you should go, like, walk in nature and do stuff like recreation. Like, you should go spend time in nature, man.
I'm in the vegetables right now. I'm smoking some delicious indica. I know you've never indulged in cannabis. Have you ever smoked cannabis?
Yeah.
You have?
Cool. Yeah.
You've smoked weed and gotten stoned on great weed?
Yep.
What did you do when you were stoned?
Oh, I felt paranoid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was it? What were you thinking about that was worrying you while you had the tetrahydrocannabinoid delta 9 in your blood system?
Yeah, I felt that all people that I know they're kind of like, I felt that all people that I know are like in one kind of collective entity, and then that entity was it was weird.
Islam is weird. That big black box that everybody rotates around, every year for hours on end. The fact that they didn't even put plumbing into the ground to drain the water from the rains, and they have crews of hundreds of men using, plastic pieces of things to move the water.
Because they were in a hurry to cement the whole thing because there was no people running through there. It wasn't a big trade center. There were no rivers over there.
No, I'm saying they didn't even put plumbing. They have to manually remove the water from the fucking...
that the reason why they did that is because they wanted to cement it to cover up the evidence that it wasn't a great place that people used to go to do trade.
I still fail to see your point, or maybe you don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, on YouTube... I'm just saying that they didn't seem to use drainage in their engineering in Mecca at the fucking mosque. It floods.
Because if they were to dig it up, they are not going to
find
facts there. That's
okay, I'm going to pull the YouTube. Please hold.
When the rain is there, like...
Survey a site before you actually dig it up and install plumbing to see if there's any artifacts there. That's why they didn't do that, because there's nothing there and would prove its faultiness.
I love how Muslims always say that the infidels or the pagans prior to Islam. Did you ever actually see the movie Muhammad? It's the only officially authorized version of the story of Muhammad. And the reason it's like issued a certification by some kind of like, grand bullshit artist. But basically they don't show the video. They never show Muhammad. They only show the shadow.
Oh, that's not... The name of the movie is not Muhammad.
What's it called? The Message. Honey Badger and other moderators, have you ever seen this movie called The Messenger? The Message or The Messenger?
No.
I'm going to get you the link because this is what you have to watch because actually it's a fucking good movie. It's honestly a good movie. Like, you should watch it.
Yeah. It's The Message, not The Messenger.
It's got like a lot of famous actors in it who were big time, but the movie in itself, in my opinion, is part of the problem. That movie promulgates the validity of Islam, or essentially the co-equal branch of religious sincerity. It's such a bullshit movie, but I'm going to get you the YouTube. Please hold.
The Message is actually, I think...
It's actually a good point. Why does Islam conquer other religious sites and take it for their own and claim it for themselves?
Because they think that these religions are wrong.
They stole the Kaaba from the pagans. They stole the Dome of the Rock from the Jewish and the Christians.
This is steamed.
They stole, another...
Yeah, you are steamed, right?
So what does that have to do with the question I asked you? Why do they do that?
Yeah, so I think that you worship a man that committed suicide for your sins and the Romans killed your God. That actually more fucked up, man.
No, you know what's fucked up is that Muhammad murdered a bunch of people. That these Muslims, these Islamists, murdered a bunch of innocent people who were just living their lives all around the world. And they're like, we know the truth. And if you don't submit, we'll fucking murder you.
Yeah, that's right. I think that
I put the link in the chat. Watch the movie. It's called The Messenger of Death. That's the real name of the movie. The Messenger of Death.
How would you feel if someone took the Dome of the Rock from you and Mecca from you? Because you guys defend your conversion of religious sites under conquest. Would it be okay if other religions were allowed to do the same today?
Like for me, I live in a peaceful life. I don't care about if whatever happens to these sites. What I care about is that innocent people should not be harmed.
Well said. Well said.
Listen, Phoenix, if I was a pedophile and I declared to everybody that the master of the universe gave me divine instruction to conquer the world, and I went around killing everybody to worship me, do you think maybe I might have a problem with myself?
I don't know, man. Humans do human things.
I love it though, Phoenix. They tried to get you mad and talk about Mecca as a rock and someone destroyed it, and you in total calmness were just like, it wouldn't matter. Don't want people to be hurt. It's beautiful. I love it.
Roland, listen, you can take, I got kicked out of the room a couple weeks ago for criticizing you, Dr. Roland, but I like the TV show The Wire, but I got to tell you, I mean, I believe not just in roasting theists, I believe in roasting atheists.
I already told you I find you boring and tedious.
I know you find me boring and tedious, but I find you interesting and somewhat stupid.
Well, most secular humanists want to invite Muslims into their countries until they get overrun and overpopulated by them.
Like Germany and the Netherlands and Sweden.
Your name every time.
Right, Roland? Don't you want your daughter or your sons dating Muslims?
Don't you want them raped in the town square?
I'll be honest. I wouldn't want my son or daughter. First of all, I don't have children, but if I did, I would say I'd probably rather they weren't dating somebody religious at all. If they were dating somebody religious, I think on average there's probably less radical Christians. So I'd say I'd probably rather them be with a Christian than a Muslim if I had to choose. But if I met them and they were nice and they weren't, didn't have crarazy views about
Charcoal
adultery,
briquette? Which kind of Muslim? Like an African Muslim or an Arab Muslim?
I think I wouldn't have a problem with them regardless, But if you're just asking on average without knowing, having any knowledge at the forefront, then probably.
Roland, the point is
with a Muslim,
intelligence. That's the point. Is you want your girl to be with an intelligent man.
Tedious. I'm talking.
Tedious? What's so tedious? I don't even understand. How can you be tedious on a social audio chat app? Tedious? It's not like we're in real person, like really hanging out or something. How am I tedious? I'm in a fucking social audio chat app. What is tedious on a social audio chat app?
By the way, is it just period, or how do I refer to you?
You can call me you. Do you have a period?
The mask from Kingdom of Heaven. What do I call you?
Oh, dot. Oh, period.
You can just call me Jay.
Ooh.
Okay, Jay. Was that answer adequate, or?
Mr. Ed thinks I'm an idiot.
It just kind of question begs, but
question
there's a lot going on.
You guys.
There's a lot going on here.
You guys have to know that these rooms are the best rooms.
Oh my God, honey, can we deal with this guy? Because we really can't have a conversation.
These are roast rooms, Roland. Don't you understand that you are part of the roast? That you think you're so smart and so intellectual and so perfect.
I'd have fun with it, but you're just very boring.
Can't you just humble yourself and admit that you are being roasted?
Why humble himself? You're picking on a decent
Oh,
man
Dr.
like
James,
Roger.
my favorite, the cigarette-smoking cocksucker. Here we go again. Oh, I've heard all kinds of shit out of Dr. James here. Dr. James, you are one dumb motherfucker, old man. You are one old dumb motherfucker. You are one dumb old... You have admitted on this app that you enjoy, that you have isolated yourself in your house and that you hate everyone and everything. Dr. James, you are a miserable old cunt. You are a miserable old cunt of a person. Go smoke another pack of cigarettes, you old cunt. Typical American. Stay in fucking Amsterdam. We never want you coming to America, you piece of shit.
Your brother and your sister are also your parents.
Good one, Dr. James. Ooh, JCC, good one. Was that your lesbian laugh? Go get a haircut, you fucking queer.
Yeah, you know.
You hate Muslims, you hate queer people. Who do you not hate? Who do you not hate? You hate Muslims, you hate queer people.
Oh my god, look at Jefferson's photos with those titties. That's what I don't hate. Look at those beautiful titties. Ooh.
He's a better man than you will ever be, even though would you live 10,000 years.
Okay, Dr.
Better man
James.
than you.
Dr. James, I've heard you say the most stupid shit on this app for quite a while. So you know what? This is my big moment. I just want to say, Dr. James, go get a pack of Marlboro Lights and light JCC up a cigarette, because she's a tranny.
Correct, I like you. So what did I say that was stupid?
All kinds of stupid shit. Go on and on about all kinds of stupid shit. You waste so much fucking time. You run your fucking mouth like anybody gives a fuck what you have to say, Dr. James.
What are you doing here?
I'm here to roast you. This is my roast show. Honey Badger's my producer. I'm on the roast show, aka the Gong Show. I'm here to roast you. Ooh, you're gonna beat me up? You're gonna punch me in the face and choke me out and kill me, Dr. James? You might be a Muslim living in Europe. You might be a Muslim living in Europe. An atheist. I love these atheists. It's the roast. See, I hate to say it, Honey Badger, but I like to roast atheists and theists. I hate them all. I hate you all. Theists, atheists, roast them all.
I've got health insurance. How about
you? Got health insurance? You ain't got any health, you fucking... You don't even have health, Dr. James. What do you need health insurance for when you don't even have health?
I'm a doctor.
Well, you pontificate on so many important issues. You seem to know everything. Your opinions are always 100% spot on, Dr. James. Dr. James, you're always spot on. You're so accurate in your assessment of everything, Dr. James.
You are spot on because you use your ass organ. That's how you are spot on.
What do I use my asshole for, Dr. James?
You use your asshole, as a receptacle for your father's.
All right, so I'm just going to reset a little bit.
Woo, hard reset.
Anyone want to talk about your theism 118? Are you ready to come up yet, or are you going to keep hiding down there? So I'd really like to hear you just.
I just wanted to discuss a little bit about Sharia law. I mean, we've only been engaged with about a 1,300 year war with Muslims all the way up until World War I. I think it's pretty important.
118, are you a Christian? Hello, 118, are you a Christian?
Am I a Christian? Is that the question?
Yeah.
May I ask for a definition of Christian in your opinion?
No. I want you to just tell me whether or not you think you're a Christian.
It's kind of hard.
It's hard to answer whether or not you're a Christian?
Yeah, I'm asking you to clarify what you consider to be a Christian.
Why does it matter?
Culo con caca. Yo, Hermes, my friend got kidnapped in Colombia. He escaped. They held him for
understand being a Christian, therefore they can answer
4 hours.
very easily.
I don't know.
Yes, I am
The police. He says the police kidnapped him.
Pretend you asked me that question.
And then he ran back to his hotel and he fucking booked it to the fucking airport.
Now, if you want to convince me otherwise,
And this guy, you want to talk about prostitutes? This fucking guy is a prostitute fucking purveyor. This guy has girlfriends in every major city. He's like a wealthy to do, and he's married to a woman who's like an heiress. It's a very interesting story.
Give a definition.
Dude, you're easier than I
He's an
thought.
intense
This
guy.
is why you
He
stay in
jogs,
chat,
he
isn't
runs
it?
like fucking 10 miles
Since
straight,
you're
hardcore.
refusing to give a definition of your opinion of what a Christian is, I will elaborate on my definition of a Christian.
Great. So we don't need you to elaborate. We just need a yes or no.
Are you a Christian? Yes or no?
Are you gonna listen? Or are you gonna keep interrupting?
What are you about to? Are you going to answer the question yes or no as to whether or not
Dr.
you're a Christian?
James.
Okay.
Keep calling the guy Dr.
So you don't
James.
want to. This is amazing, dude. I can't believe that you're so. Why are you so embarrassed about your religion?
You calm down.
Huh?
So the colloquial definition.
Hey, look, dude. There's no need to get emotional, 118. Just.
This is the roast show, Hermes. So I came up with this idea a while back, but it's all because of that what's his face who has that show Prove to Me God Exists, which is technically a roast show. So Hermes, I hope you know that Clown House is technically always a roast show. Like, you are included. Like you roast yourself, and like I hope, but I want you to roast other people. It's fun. Just roast people.
118, was that hard for you?
Honey Badger, technically, I have influenced him, and he is technically like my producer as well as a host, but he's the ultimate roaster.
Okay, so you think that you're a follower of Christ, and that makes you a Christian? Is that right?
By definition of what a Christian is colloquially, that's what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me biblically, right, that may be I may have to answer it a different way. I think I'd be agnostic on whether or not I think that Christ is actually the literal begotten Son.
Because Hermes, I've heard you have bad takes.
Call God,
I mean, I heard you talk about the Zelensky thing today. I was like, oh man, like honestly, people are upset that Trump fucking turned Clubhouse on with Zelensky, and Zelensky got outed for being a bitch. That guy's an idiot.
You get me confused.
Fucking piece of shit Zelensky is. He's got no fucking. The fact is, he should speak English fluently. That guy's communication was terrible.
Right, I asked you if you thought you were a Christian or not, and it took you forever.
In fact, I was thinking is he shouldn't even have spoke English. He should have used an interpreter. Because when you use an interpreter and you speak Ukrainian, it's hard to detect like the emotions in it. So he's fucked up. He should have just spoken Ukrainian.
Okay, so can you give me just the top two that you follow that makes you special and calls yourself a Christian? Because I want to know how different it is from what I'm doing.
It's probably not much different.
Okay, so I'm a Christian?
I don't know, are you?
Well, according to your definition, I guess I would be, because you're making it sound like it's
really
easy.
You told me in the past that you follow the same teachings, to
don't murder.
To love thy neighbor, don't murder, right?
Yeah.
Try to have respect, you know what I mean? Try to be a decent person, right?
Yeah, I think most of us do that, don't you?
Yeah, and I think that's, if you just want to know my blunt opinion about the subject, I think that's a pretty compelling evidence for there to be a God, right? Which
a Christian God.
Well, again, I'm agnostic on that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but you believe that it's Yahweh of the Bible.
I don't want to make no claims. I don't know if I could articulate. I don't know if I could articulate like a name, right, for this particular entity or being, except when it comes to mind, I think of like a first cause, a being that never had a beginning or an end, and it said everything.